The capital of Edelis. There are a lot of magical creations in the streets and alleys, and the residents of the whole city are laughing and laughing. Everyone is filled with yearning for the future. What is this scene? Lucy Asherai didn't follow, and left in the morning to go back to the guild. Fortunately, Dieter and Natsu, who had magical powers, came to the capital very quickly, and walked to the streets to look at the city full of joy. Didn't you say it's a dictatorship? Wendy asked. Lucy was also surprised. I thought this would be a lifeless city. Natsu said in surprise, and it's easy to get into the city, there are not many soldiers. Next to him, Dieter leisurely observes the objects in this world. After hearing their conversation, he affirmed, this place is completely different from Luan City and Sika City. All the magic power that has been captured is concentrated in this royal capital. In order to gain popular support, such an entertainment city was deliberately built. What a selfish king. Lucy sighed. Continuing to move forward, when passing by a square, I also saw people crowding together, and there seems to be some special event being held there. Is there a parade or something going on? Others also looked over. Natsu rushed over there. Well then, let's take a look.
Wait a minute, Natsu. Lucy followed. Wendy and Sha Lulu also hurriedly walked over there, and squeezed through the layers of crowds to see the scenery of the period from a very close distance.
Dieter shook his head helplessly. Stepping up, I was prepared to stop Natsu, don't let him mess around at this time. People are crowded. Not the time to mess around. He squeezed to Natsu's side and looked at the tall shelf in front of him. And the giant egg magic crystal behind him. The crystal is entangled with ropes, and the red fruit is displayed in front of you. The group of citizens beside him cheered enthusiastically. Magic crystal? Wendy said, looking at the giant magic crystal in front of her. Lucy tensed in his heart and said tentatively, could it be that this is? Dieter replied. They should be the people of Magnolia, but it's obviously just a part of it, there are obvious cuts on it, maybe there are our comrades in it. The king with a scepter came out from the elevated stand in front of the magic crystal. Long live your majesty, long live your majesty. The citizens shouted and cheered like fanatics. They looked like crazy, and what they saw in their eyes was the endless worship of the king. Those eyes and eyes could not tolerate foreign objects, only the figure of their king. The people of Edelis, our holy kingdom of Edelis, has been making magic for 10 years from the anima. The king clutched his scepter and addressed the citizens below. Happy, retorted angrily. It has the face to say that it was made, and it was obviously robbed from our world. Lucy and the others were also displeased. I feel very contemptuous for this king's words, and he has the face to say so openly. The king continued. Let us sing together, laugh together, and share in this infinite joy. Wah ha ha ha. The citizens cheered, and a large number of people were filled with tears of happiness because of the king's words. The people of Edelis have the right to share in this magic, and only we, the people of Edelis, are the holy nation that can last into the future. No one can take the magic away from our country. And I'm here to promise that we'll get more magic, so much so that the little magic in front of you is just crumbs. Snapped. The king grabbed the scepter and inserted it into the magic crystal like crazy. Damn it. Natsu and the others below stared wide-eyed, watching a few magic crystals fall from the crack pierced by the scepter. Natsu strode angrily, ready to attack. Dieter hurriedly put his hand around his neck and retreated toward the crowd. Lucy and Wendy quickly followed. Let go of me, Dieter, that magic crystal is our companion. Natsu kept struggling. The two of us join forces, and no one is our opponent, Natsu said.
Dieter shook his head with a sigh and persuaded. I know you're not feeling well, everyone's mood is the same, but it's obviously not the right time. There are too many people here and it's easy to get into trouble. You can't turn other companions into magic crystals just because of a momentary rush in crisis.
Yeah, Natsu, there will be too many people here. Since the king must have a lot of soldiers to protect him, we need to wait first. Lucy also helped to speak. Natsu is still struggling. But Dieter's arm couldn't break free so easily. No matter how great Natsu's power is, it is impossible to break the unique arm, and he can only be pulled away in resignation. Sunset comes. Natsu standing by the window in the hotel got up angrily. I still can't take this breath, I'm going to try to sneak into the castle. Dieter hurriedly stopped. Don't worry, think of a plan. Yeah, I'm too impatient to get everyone back to their original state. Wendy was lying on the table painting unknown patterns. Everyone has turned into a crystal. What can we do to restore everyone to their original state? Wendy was also puzzled. Lucy Natsu was very annoyed. How to recover everyone who has become a magic crystal is indeed an important premise. Why don't Erza and the others turn into magic crystals and you don't? Dieter said now. This sentence suddenly caused several people to fall into contemplation.
Sha Lulu put down her pen and said, Miss Lucy didn't become a magic crystal because she had celestial spirit, which can isolate time and space, so why didn't the male cat, me, Wendy and Natsu become magic crystals? I heard Dieter say that Gajil didn't become a magic crystal either. What about Crystal?
With that said, both Lucy and Wendy's eyes lit up. Yes. Why Natsu and Gajil and Wendy haven't changed?
According to what we know, people in Edalus world have no magic power and can only use magic props. Does that mean that people without magic power will not become magic crystals?
Lucy quickly analyzed. Celestial spirit can isolate time and space to protect her, so what can isolate Wendy and Natsu? Mo Lulu and Happy were originally people of this world, so what do Wendy, Natsu, Gajil have in common? Lucy asked. Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer. Wendy and Natsu blurted out immediately. Yes. Wendy, Natsu, and Gajil are all dragon slayers, so they don't turn into magic crystals. Lucy added, what about Mistogen and Brother Dieter? Hearing the topic, Dieter shrugged and said, I didn't enter the world of Edalus in Magnolia, of course I won't become a magic crystal. As for Mistogen, maybe he is a person from this world. Shock. Lucy, Wendy and Natsu, and the two cats all seem to have amazing discoveries. Mistogen is from the Edalus world. The news is amazing. But if you think about it, it is indeed possible. Mistogen has been around the world trying to shut down Anima. How could he shut it down? Obviously, he himself understands the switch of the Anima. So can we boldly guess that dragon-slaying magic can restore the waste crystal to its original state? After all, it is such a special magic. Dieter guided them to continue to guess. But in case it doesn't work, there should be partners in the waste crystal, so it's better to take a more secure approach. Wendy objected. Both Lucy and Wendy agree. Whether Dragon Slayer magic can restore the magic crystal remains to be seen. It's not good to draw conclusions so easily. That's good, but it's even more impractical to just rely on a few of us to kill hundreds of thousands of troops back and forth. Dieter certainly couldn't just give up. He was still waiting to see Erza and Erza fight. How could he just give up on this approach so easily? That's why he doesn't use Dragon Slayer magic. If he could use it, he wouldn't have to join Natsu and the others at all. He would be enough to free the people in the waste crystal. I'm painting an underground pothole. This passage can lead to the interior of the palace. It's better to know the solution from the king's mouth, Sha Lulu said. Dieter shook his head immediately. I trust you and Happy, but are the potholes in your memory traps? Maybe they're waiting for you to take us there and get arrested? Stuck. Sha Lulu really didn't know how to answer this time.
If your memory has been manipulated, then we have cast ourselves into a trap in the past. We might as well let Wendy and Natsu try it. There is no reason to sacrifice in the war between the two worlds, and the probability that dragon-slaying magic can save people is also high. Very big.
Dieter went on to say that walking through potholes is a self-inflicted trap, and although it is good to break through, there are still a lot of armies in a world. It is impossible to rush in without wanton massacre, and you will be exhausted to death. Why don't we split up? Wendy and I took Sha Lulu to infiltrate the palace, and Natsu, Happy, and Dieter went to try. Lucy immediately made suggestions after seeing the disagreement. Listening to Dieter's instinctive refusal, once Lucy and Wendy are caught, the consequences can be dangerous. Okay. Let's split up. Seeing that Wendy was very moved, Dieter also knew that it was impossible to persuade him. Simply agree directly. The big deal is that it will take a little effort to rescue it again. Then we'll go there overnight and sneak into the palace while it's dark. Lucy gave orders in high spirits. Then we'll set off immediately. The night is almost up, Sha Lulu said. Then Lucy left with Wendy and Sha Lulu. Walked toward the pit trap in memory, preparing to steal to rescue the companion who turned into a magic crystal. Wait until. We will also set off in the early morning, before the sky is bright and there are few people. Try breaking the magic crystal to see if it can be rescued, Dieter instructed. After that, I went to rest. And Natsu didn't say a word, and sat next to the window again and looked at the night outside, which was shrouded in the sunset. Early morning. There were not many people hanging out on the street except for the early people. In the square, the huge magic crystal was guarded by soldiers, and no one was allowed to approach. When I deal with soldiers, you directly use Dragon Slayer magic to attack the enchanted crystal. Be bold. How do you know this plan will fail if you don't try? Dieter said. Natsu seemed determined and nodded in agreement. Dieter also immediately attacked the soldiers, and Natsu also flew to the magic crystal under the leadership of Happy. The ants, the war has begun. Dieter grinned and attacked the soldiers, who were like ants, easily knocked down with one punch. Fire Dragon's Iron Fist. Boom. Natsu over there also started attacking the enchanted crystal. He firmly believed in his heart that Dieter would not let him hurt his companions for no reason, but must be rescuing them. Boom. Boom. The magic crystal quickly became unbearable in a series of attacks. The whole body is shrouded in white light. Immediately pushing Natsu out, Dieter quickly stopped and waited for the magic crystal to recover. The light of the magic crystal adds to the city in the morning, and the light blooms as bright as day. Efficient. Natsu saw this scene and immediately knew that the attack was working. They all stared at the magic crystal nervously. Ohm. The light dissipates. The huge magic crystal turned into two figures. Erza, Gray, Happy, exclaimed immediately. Erza and Gray, who had changed back over there, regained their senses, scanning the surrounding situation in confusion. Dieter. Erza called out when he saw Dieter and rushed towards him. Where have you been? Worry me. Erza bumped Dieter's head against him. Pung. So hard. Dieter was speechless. When can this problem of knocking on the body at every turn be corrected? What's happening here? Gray also immediately noticed that there were soldiers around and seemed to be surrounded, and asked in confusion. We'll talk about it later, let's get out of here, Dieter said. Natsu also nodded in agreement. If you dare to destroy the waste crystal, you will be arrested immediately. Don't even think about running away, grab them. Arrest. Arrest now. The surrounding soldiers immediately charged towards Dieter and the others with their weapons, intending to take them down. What? Gray swept across the group, posing and ready to unleash the magic. Suddenly found that there is no way to use magic. What the hell, why can't I use magic? What? Erza was also taken aback. Trying to change clothes doesn't work. I'll explain it to you in a moment, follow me, we'll leave first. As Dieter said, he turned and hit the group of soldiers, breaking out of the heavy encirclement and rushing towards the distance. Ha ha ha, Gray, you can't beat me now. Seeing that neither Erza nor Gray could use magic, Natsu was overjoyed and wanted to knock Gray down and beat him. What's up? Erza followed closely behind and was busy asking. Although the trouble can't be used, but the physical fitness and combat ability are still there, it is not a problem to deal with a few small soldiers. This is Daedalus, another parallel world, and the magic of this world is running out, so they use the anima to absorb the magic of our world. And Magnolia was absorbed into the magic crystal, we are here to save you. Dieter explained. Erza and Gray looked at each other in disbelief. Daedalus. Another world? What happened during this time? Why did I suddenly come to another world and become a waste crystal? Hey. Why do you guys use magic? Gray asked. Dieter tore open the encirclement, rushed into the alley in the city, and explained it clearly to the two of them in the shortest words. Inside the alley, Erza and Gray asked the questions one by one, and successfully heard the news from Dieter and Natsu's happy mouths. So what we're going to do next is to rescue the other companions who have turned into magic crystals? Erza asked. Gray took the vial from Dieter, poured out the pill and stuffed it into his mouth.
Dieter nodded. Last night Lucy, Wendy and Sha Lulu infiltrated the palace. Obviously, they failed. Thinking about it, they have already been arrested. The next step is to break into the prison to save people.
After he finished speaking, he took the initiative to lead someone towards the direction of the cell. You're saying that Erza in Daedalus is also very good? On the way, Erza was also very curious after hearing Dieter's remarks in the past few days.
Awesome. Dieter nodded undeniably. Although he was still weaker than him, in terms of Erza's combat power, Daedalus Erza Netwaka was still very strong.
Oops. Erza, that's scary. Natsu called out the danger. Happy and Gray also nodded in agreement. Dieter curled the corners of his mouth, thinking for a while, what way should he use to watch the show? While thinking, suddenly, I found two Gajils standing at the entrance of the alley in front of me. Hey. Gajil. Dieter was busy calling. Why is this Gajil still here? Didn't he say there is a cat? Why not go to the cat? Huh? Erza and Gray, are they the only ones saved by destroying the magic crystal? Gajil also found that several people here were busy asking. Then I remembered. I wish I didn't tell Dieter that Dragon Slayer magic can restore magic crystals. Dieter cursed inwardly. It was only then that he remembered that Gajeel knew the usefulness of dragon-slaying magic. If I had thought of it earlier, I wouldn't need to argue with Wendy and Sha'Lulu, just say it directly. No matter how much, what are you doing? Hurry up, I'll take you to the cat. I'm not telling you, that cat is super strong. Dieter complained. Gajeel's eyes sparkled. This side immediately said a few words to Gajeel of Edalus and followed the figures of Dieter. Remember our plan. Go to rescue Lucy and Wendy first, and then act separately. I will take Gajeel to find the magic crystal, and you are responsible for destroying the possible follow-up opportunities in the Edalus world. A short distance outside the cell, Dieter finally informed them of the plan. Several people nodded in agreement. The group rushed into the cell, saw those soldiers and attacked directly, and rushed inside after a while. Erza. Natsu, who followed Dieter in the front, suddenly saw Erza Netwoka in front of him, and immediately exclaimed. Erza Scarlet was also curious when he saw someone who looked like him, and looked up and down constantly. Erza Netwoka, where are our people locked up? We can start our game after being honest. Dieter asked with a grin. Then Erza Netwoka naturally noticed Dieter, and his face paled a little after seeing him. The terrifying strength echoed faintly. Go straight and turn left. Erza Netwoka was unwilling to tell the truth. Even if she didn't want to say it, she had to say it. It's about Edalus and the king's plans. Okay. Dieter was satisfied, and ordered to several people, Natsu, Gray and Happy. Go to save people, Erza. This subway man in front of you is handed over to you, and Gajeel and I go to find the waste crystal. Okay. 2 Erzas are horrible. Hey. Gray and Natsu and Happy rushed past the 2 Erzas. And Erza Scarlet's eyes were full of war, and he agreed eagerly. The magic crystal will be handed over to you. Gah, as soon as the words fell, Erza attacked immediately. It's time for us to find the cat too. Gajeel was busy asking. Although he was very upset to see Dieter, he seemed to have to rely on uniqueness to recruit cats. Okay. Dieter agreed, reached out and grabbed Gajeel, jumped out, and flew upwards on the moon. Hey. Shouldn't we be looking for waste crystals and cats? What are we doing in such a high place? Gajeel grabbed Dieter's clothes and hurriedly asked. He was really scared that Dieter would suddenly let go. Look over there. Dieter pointed to the floating island not far away. A large piece of magic crystal came into view over there, and Gajeel was also stunned. Arriving on the floating island, looking at the magic crystal of Big Mac, Gajeel also said that such a big magic crystal is the magic power of the entire city of Magnolia. It's really big. Gah, people are coming. The voice sounded, and Dieter immediately pushed Gajeel away and looked at Pomsalili, who was holding a large sword in the air. Boom. The long broadsword looked at the ground and cut a deep ravine out of the ground. Damn it, who are you? Gajeel was busy cursing and asking. In the air, Pomsalili spread his wings and introduced. I am the captain of the 1st Magic War Unit of the Royal Army, Pomsalili. This magic crystal is the most important stronghold in this battle plan. You can't destroy it. Pomsalili said, galloping down again with a large sword many times his size, ready to behead Dieter and Gajeel. Gajeel, this is the cat I found for you, the captain of the 1st Demonic Army, more powerful than the goblin hunter Erza. Dieter said. The body flickered instantly and disappeared on the floating island of the magic crystal. When it reappeared, it was already above the body of Pomsalili galloping down. In return, I only punch you, and if you can survive like Erza Netwoka, you are lucky. Dieter clenched his fists. It is wrapped in a jet black armed color, and there is an orange-red airflow around it. Second gear. The blood in the body accelerated rapidly. Dieter goes into second gear to boost power and speed. Overlord color. Once again release the Overlord color with a shocking mind, add it together and release it. What? The muscles of Pomsalili's galloping body suddenly tightened, and a deadly coldness came from his back. The hair on his body exploded instantly, and a stalwart aura instantly enveloped his mind. Powerful. Fear. Powerless. All kinds of negative emotions converged into one, and Pomsalili understood why Erza Netwoka was in that state when he came back. The breath is so powerful. Even he felt very small in this momentum. Just like a mouse or an ant you see on weekdays, an existence that can be crushed to death. Escape. Run away. This would make Pomsalili lose his sense of proportion by being shocked by that momentum. Where do you still want to stay? Just want to leave quickly, and flee this dangerous place in embarrassment. Rubber jet pistol. Dieter's voice reverberated, his fists were stimulated, and he slammed into the thickest part of Pomsalili's back armor at an extremely fast speed. Boom, cough. The blood was coughed out, and the whites of Pongsalili's eyes were congested, and the bloodshots that he looked at were all around. Eyes trembling violently. The piercing pain in the back transmitted to the brain, making his brain come to a critical point. I can't wait to come over immediately to relieve the pain. Gah, boom. Dieter's fist continued to exert force, knocking Pongsalili's body out of the air like a golf ball. After the loud bang, Pongsalili's body smashed a big hole out of the floating island of the magic crystal. Pongsalili's body was trembling in pain. The pain in the body intensified. Sure enough. Terrifying. Ah. Pongsalili coughed out a mouthful of blood again, and said tremblingly with lingering fears. It's funny to think about the disapproval of Erza Netwoka and Hughes when he spoke of the man's horror. Really sit back and watch the sky. I didn't expect this man to be so terrifying. Not an opponent at all. Sensation is too big. Hey. Dieter, don't make trouble with my cat. Gajeel said with some unhappiness when he saw Pongsalili curled up. Obviously it was a cat for him. Why can't I hand it over to him? I have to go up and punch. I am afraid that this punch is also injured, and it will take continuous time to heal. Ha ha ha, mistake. Dieter hastily smiled and waved awkwardly. The main reason is that the Overlord color's shock is too strong. No matter what kind of opponent, once he is caught off guard, he will lose his sense of proportion and let him hit. In addition, Dieter, a level 7 armed color, can infiltrate the enemy's body. Inflicts damage to the enemy's internal organs. No matter how strong the physique is, the internal organs are also fragile, so often an inconspicuous attack will cause great damage to the enemy. The waste crystal and the cat are handed over to you. Dieter left here after saying a word, ready to watch the Erza vs Erza drama. Hey. You are too irresponsible, Gajeel complained. However, Dieter was far away and didn't have time to answer any of his words. The battle scene of Erza vs Erza. Dieter found a decent place to watch the fight, and was envious of the damage the two Erzas caused. The members of the Fairy Tale Guild did not say anything else, but they still had a knack for destroying terrain and buildings, and there were messed up sword marks around the battle between the two. Its destructive power is evident. Erza's side is fighting fiercely, and the King of Edelis has already activated his lock cannon, and it's almost over. Dieter can clearly know which part of the current battle is going on. After the locked dragon cannon is activated, the most powerful one is the mechanical monster with the Dragon Knight. When the time comes, the mechanical monster can be eliminated and you can go back. Ding. Sign in to Edelis Royal Capital, reward 40 skill points. At this time, although there is no sound in my mind, the system words that still pretend to have a sound appear in my mind. Remind Dieter to get new skill points again. Signing in the capital, then this place should be the last possible place to sign in, so let's add them all. Dieter wasn't surprised. Both the Edelis World and the Fairy Tale Guild can sign in. There is no reason why a city that is a royal capital cannot sign in, but I think this place is the last place to sign in. 40 skill points are added directly. After the weapon color of level 7 is increased to the full level, the knowledge color will also be raised to level 2. When the armed color is full, he can clearly feel that his strength has increased a lot now, and he even fully grasps the Lu Ying Domineering, that is the cherry blossom pink airflow, which has a very powerful destructive power. And it also has a considerable improvement in defense, and it can even hurt people in the air. It's time to end. After feeling the power in his body, Dieter glanced over Erza to the sky. There Mistogen has appeared, conversing with the king over the air. Mistogen drove the behemoth and Natsu and the others stood aside. I've known for a long time that you kid is going to seal up the anima in Islandri. You traitor has already sold your country. The king reprimanded Mistogen. Where does this voice come from? Sounds like it's coming from hell. Get out of here quickly. Natsu, Wendy and the others all yelled at them, trying to find the trace of the king. Mistogen said, your anima plan has failed, and there is no point in continuing to fight. Significance? You actually ask me the meaning of fighting? The king's voice echoed, and the ground lit up with a blue light. The sky was illuminated brighter, the earth trembled, and countless people looked at the ground in horror. The fight between the two Erzas was also temporarily stopped. The piercing bell came from the ground, and countless people stared at the ground with wide eyes, as if to see what the sound was. This is not a battle, but a unilateral annihilation to retaliate against those who are enemies of the kingdom. With the king's voice angry from the ground, a huge mechanical block. The mechanical object was tightly wound by chains, extending from the ground and connecting to the object. What is that? Is it a magic weapon? Unsure of the reason, Gray and Lucy also questioned when they saw the huge object, and seemed to have no idea what was going on. If you don't listen to the advice and try to stand in front of me and stop me, even if the object is you, I will still be destroyed. The huge object broke free from the chains and levitated. The voice of the king came from the body of the object, and the appearance of the object also made the hair of the people of Midgard and many Aedelas stand up. The giant object shines brightly. The irregular shape began to change in an instant. When the dragon's roar was overwhelming, what appeared in front of the world was the huge dragon knight, the strengthened armor of the dragon. Dragon? Looking carefully, the shape is. What is reinforced armor? Natsu was puzzled. At this time Dieter also flew up and landed on the back of the beast at Mistogen's feet. Explained. It is a magic crystal for anti-magic. This magic crystal can completely nullify the external magic. It is a kind of riding armor. Mistogen agrees. Well, that's where the king controls the dragon knights. The king and the dragon knight ordered, "My loyal soldiers, quickly seize all the enemies." Soldiers move. The two Erza fought together again. There was chaos everywhere, battles were everywhere, and the soldiers continued to arrest all the transcenders like a madman. There are also a large number of soldiers attacking Gray and others. I won't let anyone go. The king roared and manipulated the dragon knight to raise his head. A gun barrel extended from his mouth, the light was accumulating, and the beam shot out. Armed. A powerful beam of light roared out from the dragon knight's mouth. Dieter's figure flashed in front of the beam in an instant. The body is covered in armed color. Lu Ying was even more blessed, with her hands folded in front of her, to resist the huge beam attack. Dieter, brother Dieter, Erza and the others exclaimed quickly. Is it really okay for him to stand up against such a powerful attack alone? Drink, Dieter shouted angrily against the beam, and threw his arms out violently. The beam attack was abruptly changed its trajectory, hitting the suspended island high in the sky, and blasting an island into rubble. I'm fine. Dieter waved his hand and squinted at the huge dragon knight. He turned his head and shouted at the person. Gajeel, Natsu, Wendy, do you three want to come down and play? This is a dragon, don't you want to try it? Boom, Dieter's voice fell, and a fireball fell from the sky. Under the loud noise, the dragon knight's body sank suddenly. Natsu grinned. We Dragonslayer are more experienced in dealing with dragons. Iron Dragon Stick. Gajeel followed closely, his arm turned into an iron rod and hit the dragon knight, pushing its body a considerable distance to the side. The roar of the dragon not to be outdone, Wendy used dragon-slaying magic. The three defeated the dragon knights. Come on, but remember to tell me when you fight. Dieter in the air reminded. The body flashed to the building that was not included in the huge venue, and went to watch the play. Well, Natsu and the others are fine, and Erza is fine. If the soldiers say it, everyone from the Fairy Tale Guild will come to help, so what should I do? Dieter rubbed his chin and thought, there seemed to be no use for him on the current battlefield. It's embarrassing. Then just wait and fight Mistogen. Thinking about it, Dieter found the only opponent who could fight, but unfortunately he couldn't fight seriously. Boom. A suspended island in the air burst, and two Erzas in thin clothes fell from the sky. Amazing, my Erza. Dieter sighed, his eyes swept over the figures of the two people recklessly and praised. Really? Either Erza is in great shape. Boom. The explosion sounded loudly beside him. Dieter looked over and found that the dragon knight had been transformed into humanoid armor, and the three of Natsu had been brought down. It seemed that he could no longer fight. Dragon Rider Diffusion Bomb. The humanoid armored dragon knight fell from the sky, and the bomb was launched from the body. Hit the three of Natsu on the ground squarely. Ah! The screams sounded, and the three Natsu were seriously injured, and they couldn't stand up again after being hit by the bombs they were looking at. Ha ha ha, for the world, and for this Aedelas. The difference between me and you is here. You kid said you don't care what the world is, right? What people living in this world need most is not a guild, but eternal magic. What the people need is magic. The missions you and I carry are completely different. 637, the king was trying to make a big point. Huh. No matter how good the king said it, Dieter still wouldn't understand it. His figure drifted from the building not far away to the three of Natsu, looking at the huge humanoid dragon knight in front of him. Dieter, brother Dieter, you bastard. Wendy and the three wanted to get up, but there was no magic in their bodies, and their scarred bodies could no longer fight. It's you, the mysterious man who killed Shogboy and defeated Erza Netwaka, said the king. Dieter flew so high that he could look at the Dragon Knight before he continued. I don't care what your purpose is, I can't control your world, but I can't pretend that you didn't see the incident of hurting our guild members. Ha ha ha. The king let out a loud laugh and asked recklessly. So what, you can't beat me at all, where can the weak have the right to speak? Yes. How can the weak have the right to live? In this cannibalistic world, the strong represent everything. Dieter lifts his arms and blows. The body swelled rapidly, the armed color covered the body, and the white mist wrapped around the arms, as majestic as the world-destroying devil. Ha ha ha. What kind of look are you? The king sneered at Dieter's appearance at this time, as if seeing a funny character. What shape? Dieter raised his eyebrows, clenched his right fist tightly and began to compress layer by layer, and finally contracted into his body and rushed forward with all his strength. Magic has no effect on me. The king shouted and raised his shield in front of him, blocking Dieter's figure and preparing to resist the blow. Natsu and the others behind him widened their eyes. Would love to see Dieter defeat this giant dragon rider. Also curious to see if Dieter, who has been undefeated, will lose today. Rubber Ape King Gun. Boom. The heavy force was embedded in the Dragon Knight's armor, and the king's ironic smile suddenly condensed. Sitting inside, I only felt a heavy force coming from the arm, and the sound of cracks that could be heard inside. This force seemed to be beyond imagination. What? The strength pushed the Dragon Knight out, his feet pare deep grooves on the ground, and the shield at the arm was cracked from the middle. It looks really tough. Dieter looked at the arm of the Dragon Knight and said involuntarily. The arms start to contract again, and it only takes 2 more blows to blow the seemingly hard armor. The king's proud armor will be destroyed. Impossible. The king roared with a gleam of light on his body, and the stalking bullets roared towards Dieter. All the slag that was about to blow him away was left. Rubber Ape King Crow Cannon. Bang bang bang. The fists turned into afterimages, and the heavy force continuously fell on the armor of the Dragon Knight. Clap clap clap. There were various sounds of being bombarded from the body of the armor, and the body of the huge humanoid Dragon Knight was continuously beaten and retreated toward the rear. Look at the hanging armor. The fragments were blasted apart, and the fragments fell to the ground. How is it possible? Why is it so strong? No. My proud Dragon Knight. How could it be broken? Is this the sorcerer of the Asland world? Final blow. The king was punched out of the Dragon Knight, and his body was in severe pain, and he even thought he was going to die. Looking at the strange body after falling to the ground. No longer able to remain calm, fear shrouded my heart. I can't believe that the person in front of me can be so powerful. End it. Dieter's body recovered. Without even looking at the king, he turned and walked towards the 3 of Natsu. The earth shook, and the suspended islands in the sky began to fall. What's the matter? The island in the sky. Hey hey hey. What happened? I don't have the strength to fight anymore. The sky is broken. The 3 of Natsu looked at the doomsday-like sky and were also very terrified. The sky seems to be collapsing. The floating island of Edelus floats by the magic of this world, and since it has begun to fall, it means that. Dieter walked over to the 3 of them, looking at the falling island and talking. The words are not finished, but everyone knows what this means. Magic is fading from this world, Wendy added. Dieter nodded in agreement. A large amount of magic power overflowed from the ground, in the air, and the magical props on the soldiers drifted toward the sky. The magic is disappearing. The pattern of the world will change. These are magic. This is not good. If all the magic power disappears, this world will. Dieter, what's next? Is there any way to keep the magic? Natsu and the others were busy asking. All looked to Dieter for a good solution. Sooner or later the magic of Edelus will wear off, and now a wise prince is needed to become the new king and lead the world into a new era, Dieter said. Suddenly, Natsu and others thought of Mistogen. Not bad. Next I need you to cooperate with me. Dieter grinned. Gather 3 people here and start talking about the plan, and let them start to cooperate. Do you understand? Dieter finished talking the plan and finalized it. Natsu's eyes glittered and nodded excitedly. No problem. I am the great demon king Natsu. Chi. Gajiel retorted a little from Tsunere. Why should I accompany you to do such a boring thing? Wendy is a little shy. I will work hard. Dieter smiled after hearing what the 3 said. Let's go then. The 3 of Natsu rushed towards the place with a large number of residents, ready to start wanton destruction of the dilapidated city. Ahahaha. On a building not far from the palace, Natsu wore a red cloak with horns he didn't know where he got it from, and laughed uncontrollably up to the sky. Mistogen Pongsalili and heard the news dared to come, and were surprised when they saw the person. This uncle is the great demon king Dragneel, the magic power of this world. This uncle accepts it bluntly. Natsu spit out flames and declared. The citizens below looked nervously at Natsu, trying to call for help. Natsu. Mistogen also cried out when he saw the person. Your king has already been cleaned up by this uncle, but I am very kind to leave him alive. Ahahaha. Natsu laughed wildly. Fully play the attitude that a big devil should have. Red Fox, Marvel, my loyal men, let's destroy the city to welcome the king, ha ha ha. Natsu ordered. Rumble. The city was destroyed by an unknown force. The building was destroyed like a knife. Gajeel appeared with a ferocious face, his arm turned into a blade and destroyed the dilapidated city. Wendy below is also intimidating. Although I can't hear others, it is quite hard work. These people are big villains who want to destroy our town, and these people are simply the incarnation of the devil. Gajeel in the Edalus world below also quickly created fear. It made the surrounding residents even more afraid. The acquaintances hugged and looked pitifully at the few people who were trying to rule the world. Palace direction. Mistogen yelled at Natsu, what the hell are you doing? Stop messing around. And Natsu continued to destroy the city unmoved. The citizens of the next squares are very curious. Whose voice? In the direction of the palace, who is he? Yeah, who is he? The citizens were very curious, not knowing who the person dared to scold the great demon king. See, the atmosphere arrives. Natsu smiled and said, do you have the ability to stop me, Prince of Edalus? Shock. Citizens were taken aback by Natsu's words. Suddenly looking at the past, it seems that he wants to prove whether this is true. And Gajeel of Edalus world also spoke quickly, as if to give people popular science. Boom. The bang happened again. And this time, the loud noise appeared in the direction of the palace, beside Mistogen, the prince. Who is it? Mistogen also hurriedly retreated. Looking at the palace corridors shrouded in dust, busy asking questions. I am the devil, the great devil who rules the world. Dieter appears. He has strange lines on his body, a strange and hideous demon mask on his face, and his body is twisted with an abnormal deformity. Dieter. You guys. Mistogen gritted his teeth, realizing Dieter's purpose. It's useless to do this, there's no way to save this scene, stop it. Mistogen said, reaching for the magic wand and reaching towards Unique. Ah. Mistogen, have you misunderstood me? Is it possible that your hypnotic magic can work on me? Dieter sneered. The body moved instantly, and the next second came to Mistogen. So fast. Mistogen hurriedly retracted his magic wand and used magic in front of him, but when the magic was just used, the magic was disappearing. Now you still have the skills. Dieter whispered, punching Mistogen in the stomach. Boom. Mistogen was knocked out in an instant, and after falling to the ground and rolling for several laps, he grinned and rubbed his stomach. Today, my big brother will tell you that with or without magic, you are not my opponent, and I will always be your big brother. Dieter grinned. Rush over and hit Mistogen. Damn it, I'm older than you, and I didn't even recognize you as a big brother. Mistogen shot back. Both fists are very heavy. You punched and I punched each other, and no one flinched. You think I'm talking to you? Dieter raised an eyebrow. With more force, Mistogen slammed into the wall, shattering the wall in an instant. He moved his arms and replied with a smile, what? The Prince of Edalus has this kind of strength, he's just a waste. Ah ha ha. Go to hell, Prince of Edalus. Natsu over there also controlled the flames and slammed over, crushing the house in an instant and smashing Mistogen into the ruins. The citizens couldn't help but tear up when they saw this scene. Cover your mouth and cry. Tears welled up in my eyes when I saw the prince standing up with difficulty. Prince, come on, you must defeat this big devil, come on. Damn, it's big devil actually fights 1 by 2, Prince, you must do your best. Come on, Prince. Defeat the great demon king. The citizens shouted and cheered the prince continuously, expecting the prince to defeat the big devil. Damn it, since it's acting, there are 2 who fight 1. Mistogen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, there were some scars on his body, and muttered to himself. How can it be? Yeah, it's absolutely impossible if you think about it, you still have to have the identity of the great demon king. Natsu and Dieter countered. The 2 of them rushed over again, and the 2 of them blasted at Mistogen. Hey. Natsu, hold back a little, don't make any problems. Mistogen was beaten and didn't even have a chance to resist, and Dieter, who saw him, complained a lot for him, and whispered to Natsu. The latter also seemed to sense that it was too serious. Quickly slow down the opportunity, you two. Mistogen fought back hard, albeit to little avail. Our brothers are giving you a fun farewell party and tell you the rules of fairy tale by the way. Dieter punched Mistogen straight in the face. Hey. Dieter, you did it on purpose, I'm not Jello, don't slap your face. Mistogen complained. His face was aching, and he quickly warned the unique in a low voice, complaining again and again in his heart. This guy is definitely mad at him for the Jello who hurt Erza. Ah. We must convey 3 rules to those who leave the guild. Dieter's charge was a series of consecutive blows. First, you are not allowed to spread any news against fairy tale for the rest of your life, Natsu said. Dieter immediately added. Second, you are not allowed to casually contact past clients and pursue your own personal interests. Pung. Mistogen took the opportunity to punch Dieter in the stomach. Thirdly, even if you take a different path, you must never take your own life lightly, and for your beloved friend. Then grab Dieter's head and slam it towards the ground. Instantly smashed Dieter's head deep into the ground, looking as if he had lost his head. I can't forget it for the rest of my life. He lifted his foot and kicked Dieter out, knocking open buildings and shooting into the distance. Then an uppercut hits Natsu's jaw. A hurried hit by Natsu was about to fall. Dieter said he will come back to travel in the future. Natsu said a word, and his body fell down. Huh, is that right? Mistogen gasped and grunted, taking Natsu's last words with a little concern, knowing that Dieter was a mystery. The prince wins. That's great. It's amazing, His Royal Highness is amazing. That's great. The prince defeated the big devil and protected our world. The townspeople cheered, and Dieter, who was beaten out, has now come to another location. Here is the fairy tale guild in the world of Edelis. Dieter. The people here mistook Dieter for their own when they saw Dieter and hurriedly said hello. Dieter chuckled. Walked up to Lisanna in full view. At this time, Dieter's body was shrouded in golden light. Lucy Ashley hurriedly asked, "Are you?" At this time, Lisanna's body was also shrouded in golden light. Dieter smiled and said, "Welcome home, Lisa Shanna." When the latter heard the words, he immediately covered his mouth and his eyes filled with tears. Turning to look at Elfman and Mirajane in this world. Dieter thanked. "Thank you for taking care of Lisanna. Sister Mila, Brother Elfman." Lisanna reluctantly gave up. Mirajane wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. "It's okay, we already knew that." Elfman also said with a smile, "Although I discovered it long ago, I have been unable to say it. I'm sorry, because you are a kind child like the dead Lisanna." Dieter didn't bother, but looked at Lucy Asherai. He grinned, "I'm sorry, but there's actually no one named Dieter in your world. I'm acting from start to finish." What? Suddenly these people in the guild widened their eyes and couldn't believe it. What? I said that there are so many lost people in the guild. Lucy Asherai complained. Wendy and the others stared as if angry at what he had done. Ha ha ha, sorry. Dieter laughed and apologized. The body was shrouded in golden light and floated up and sucked into the air. Fairy tale of the Edelis world. I will show you the real world of Asland in the future, just wait, it won't be long. Dieter waved. Fly to Anima with Lisanna. Finally disappeared in the world of Edelis. The drizzle of J. Lily was pouring down. Dieter is back. After scanning the surrounding environment, he turned around and left, and we should wait until we return to the guild to talk about the old times. All that needs to be done now is to find Ms. Polyashika and check her body. It stands to reason that I have no magic in my body, so I shouldn't be rejected by the Edelis world. Why would I be brought back? Dieter is weird. He couldn't learn the magic of the fairy tale world, so he shouldn't have magic power. Forget it. I have too many secrets in my body, don't worry about it if you don't understand it, so as not to be found out. Dieter thinks twice about giving up his doubts. Go to the guild. A few days later. The story of Edelis was told by Erza et al. Some people want to go to that world, and some people feel envious of their lives in that world. This day. In the guild, Dieter walked outside with a fishing rod, forming a completely different extreme from other members who were enthusiastic about doing tasks. Hey, Dieter is going to fish again. Speaking of which, hasn't Erza been looking for you for a few days? Macau immediately greeted Dieter after seeing Dieter. Why don't you go fishing? But as old people in the guild, you won't work hard, it's the end of the year. Dieter said. Forget it, it's better for us to give up this strength. Lo Kaba smoking a cigarette and Macau's drinking, it's basically hopeless. Hey. I don't know how many little cuties will be left by me this year. Dieter shook his head with pity on his face as if someone prayed. In front of the counter. That's the way it is, Miss Mira. Kana doesn't give a reason at all, don't know what happened to her. Lucy spoke to Mira Jane. Dieter squeezed over to take care of her and said, Kana, I didn't expect her to work hard all these years together. Mira Jane didn't care at all. Don't worry, Lucy. Everything will be alright. Every time Kana says she wants to leave the guild. Lucy wondered. What period is this period? You'll find out soon enough. Dieter sneered. Lucy complained. Dieter, don't be a fool. After watching Dieter leave, Lucy was also speechless, and looked at the other people in the guild. Natsu, Gray, and the rest of the team hurried to do their jobs. Even Levy's combination is temporarily over, but Erza and the others were calm and weird looking. How come some people are rushing to work and some are still doing the same thing? What the hell is going on? Lucy wondered. Mira Jane smiled and replied, tomorrow you'll find out. The next day. The sky has not yet fully dawned, there are already countless people in the guild, and almost all members have gathered in the Fairy Tale Guild. The huge stage at the front was blocked by a curtain. Pasolili looked at the strange atmosphere of the guild and wondered, what the hell are you arguing about? Gajeel, who was next to him, couldn't figure it out either, and murmured impatiently, who knows? Wendy then explained to Shaw Lulu. I heard that the president has something important to announce. In the guild, there are only a few who do not know why. But most people still know. This moment is finally here, so nervous. So excited. Natsu, calm down. This tense atmosphere is really manly. The secret is finally revealed. Just as everyone was thinking about each other, the curtain on the stage was slowly pulled up. I see. On the stage, President Makarov stood at the forefront. Standing behind him are Dieter, Mira Jane, Erza and Gear Das. President. We've been waiting for a long time, hurry up and announce it. Hurry up and announce? Do you want to announce 10? It's strange, everyone in the guild seems to be too excited. On the stage. President Makarov cleared his throat to signal everyone in the guild to be quiet. According to the rules of the Fairy Tale Guild since ancient times, I am now announcing the list of participants for the S-rank mage promotion exam, the president announced. Wow. All the people in the guild immediately raised their hands and cheered enthusiastically. S-rank wizard upgrade test. Lucy was stunned, she didn't expect that what everyone had been waiting for turned out to be such a thing, S-class mages. That is, even the strongest guild, Fairy Tale, has only a few reputations. No wonder everyone is so excited, I'm on fire. A strong flame erupted from Natsu's body, and the excitement could not wait to start immediately. Dieter looked at the noisy guild and immediately said, everyone, calm down, the rules are about to be announced. Everyone in the guild immediately closed their cheers. The excitement in his eyes could not be concealed. Really, the president's words are not over yet, Geardos said. After seeing that everyone was quiet, President Makarov continued to add, this year's exam venue is located on Sirius Island, which is the holy place of our guild. The guild members became even more excited after hearing about the venue for this year's exam. The sanctuary of the guild. Where is the place that all goblin members yearn for? No one wants to go to Sirius Island. Lucy asked in a low voice. Hey, what is the content of the exam? Max, who uses sand magic, replied. The content is different every year, but the difficulty of the exam is the same. Alzak excitedly added. After all, those who pass can be upgraded to S-rank mages. From this, it can be seen that S-rank mages are quite attractive to guild members. On the stage. I have carefully observed the ability, mind and soul of each of you this year. There are 8 participants in total. President Makarov spoke. His eyes swept over all the members and began to call, Natsu Dragneel. Natsu let out a smile and tightened his fists to cheer himself up, great. Happy. Next to him also congratulated. I did it for you, Natsu. Makarov. Second, Gray Fullbuster. Gray. The long-awaited moment has finally arrived. Makarov. Juvia Loxer. Juvia said, huh? Is it Juvia? Makarov. Elfman. Elfman. A man should be an S-class mage. Makarov. Kana Alberona. Kana sighed, hey. Makarov. Fried Justine. Fried. If you want to inherit Legozis's position. Makarov. B. Mark Garden. Levy is excited. I finally got selected. Makarov. Messed Greta. Since then, the 8 selected members were successfully announced. Everyone in the guild was very frustrated, while others sincerely congratulated the 8 members. Asterisk 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 this time, only one passer will be selected from among the participants. The exam is scheduled for 1 week later, so you can adjust your physical condition, Makarov said. The people below were sighed. Only one of the 8 members can become an S-rank mage. This screening condition is really quite strict. Makarov continued. Some people are participating for the first time, so let me explain the rules first. Dieter. After the roll call, Dieter took a step forward and announced, the 8 people selected this time must find one person to be their partner during the week of preparation. Partner. Lucy was a little surprised. Someone next to him explained to him, because this is a team battle of 2 people, this test will also test the friendship between the partners. Dieter added, there are 2 rules that must be followed when choosing a partner. First, the other party must be a member of the Fairy Tale Guild. Second, you can't choose an S-class wizard as a partner, which means you can't find me, Erza, Mirajane, and Gear Das. Chairman Makarov said, the details of the exam will be announced to everyone after arriving on Sirius Island. This time Dieter will try to stop you. Shock. The entire guild exclaimed. However, Mirajane on the stage also greeted with a smile. This time I will also take the responsibility of to obstruct everyone's way. Erza smiled. I'm honored to be blocking you this time too. What? Shocked. All the people were stunned. Lucy grabbed her hair even more frantically and said, can't I be promoted to S-rank mage without first defeating Erza, Mira and Unique? The other guild members were also ashamed. Well, maybe they will put some water in, now you understand how difficult it is. On the stage Gear Das also comforted everyone. Don't complain, this is the only way to become an S-rank mage. Wait a minute, is it Gear Das will be participating too? Makarov said, the 8 people selected and their respective partners will all gather at the port of Harjin in a week. It's over. The speech is over. The members of the guild all sat down to discuss. Fishing sinker. Dieter hummed a tune and walked outside. When Lucy saw it, he immediately called out, don't brother Dieter have to prepare in advance? Yes. I'm going fishing on Sirius Island, Dieter responded. Lucy immediately covered his forehead with shame. Brother Dieter is really keen on fishing. A week went by quickly. Dieter and Mirajane of the S-rank mages were already waiting on Sirius Island. And the 8 participating members and their partners also set off. In a channel, Dieter sat cross-legged on the stone and muttered, 4 S-rank mages, which means that there will be 4 teams to meet this time, and the remaining 4 teams should be caught and killed 2 by 2, but not do you know who will meet me with such bad luck this time. All contestants will play against people. That is to say, there is no channel that can pass through unharmed, and actual combat is necessary. Ding. Sign in to Sirius Island's S-level wizard upgrade test, reward 40 skill points. The system in my mind successfully signed in. Reward 40 skill points to Dieter again. It's 40 points again, and both the armament and overlord colors have been upgraded to full level. Now that the knowledge color is level 2, plus 40 points is level 6, and it will soon be upgraded to full level. Speaking of which, the next stage after the full level seems to be the Devil Fruit treasure chest, and I don't know what abilities can be unlocked at that time. It would be nice if it was the ability to destroy the world. Dieter boredly looked at the upside-down tree map in his mind. He looked at the 6 types of navy, rubber fruit ability, and 3-color domineering in order, and then his eyes came to the treasure chest on the 4th floor. Soon the treasure chest on the 4th floor will be opened, and will gain more powerful abilities. Adding 40 skill points directly to the knowledge color, there doesn't seem to be much difference in the knowledge color at level 6. Maybe it will change when you reach the full level. Dieter felt a level 6 perception, a little further away. The picture of predicting the future is slightly improved, but the overall progress is not too great. The future is promising. I hope that the treasure chest will not give me the ability to open garbage fruits, Dieter muttered. At the same time, the boat on the sea has approached Sirius Island. The members of the ship have been waiting for a long time. It's finally here, isn't it? Is that the Sirius Island? A strange shape, there are islands on the island. It's amazing, I can feel that Sirius Island is full of magic from here. The group of participants looked at Sirius Island in a trance. In the cabin, Makarov came out and explained to everyone. It is said that there used to be fairies on that island, and it is also the resting place of Mavis Viviamilio, the first president of Fairy Tale. The people mourned, watching the president wait for his next words. Then I will announce the content of the first exam for you guys, Makarov said. The first one. Someone wondered. Someone explained. Basically every year is divided into several stages. Chairman Makarov pointed to the smoke rising from the shore of Sirius Island. Have you seen the smoke rising from the shore of the island? First of all, everyone should go there. There are a total of 8 roads to take, and each the road only allows one group of people to enter. A map appeared beside Makarov. As for the configuration in front of the road, it is basically as shown in the picture. The 8 groups of people looked at the map. I saw fighting and fierce fighting written on the map. The order is fierce fighting, fighting, fierce fighting, fierce fighting, fighting, fierce fighting. And there is a unique and other person's avatar above the fierce fight. If you have a way to break through the team here, you will be considered to pass the first test. 2 groups of 8 groups of men and horses will meet on the Do route, so only the winning group can pass. As for the fierce battle, it is the most difficult route that must defeat the active S-ranked mages before they can move forward. The purpose of the first test is force, Makarov said. The 8 groups of people are also full of bitterness. 4 of the 8 passages are guarded by S-rank mages. It stands to reason that at most 6 groups of people can pass the first stage. It can't be said that it is very difficult to defeat the active S-rank mages. No matter how unlucky you are, don't choose the channel of Gyarados and Dieter. It's as if Mira and Erza are weak, each of the S-rank mages is super strong. The worst may be only 2 groups can pass smoothly. 8 groups of people are helpless. This upgrade exam is really super difficult. It might really be the worst outcome. Okay, get ready. Let's start the exam. Makarov announced instantly. Island. Inside the passage where Dieter was. Da da da. The sound of footsteps came. Dieter didn't use the sense of sight, and it was useless to him no matter who it was. This road turned out to be fighting. Don't know who it will meet, as long as it's not Dieter. Gajeel and Levi walk in. Seeing the fierce battle hanging up high, I was also ready to move. Anyone is strong. Levi complained. Dieter, who was sitting in the corner, was overjoyed when he heard the sound, and slowly got up and walked closer. Both sides look at each other. Ruined. Dead. Levi and Gajeel cupped their heads in a frenzy. I didn't expect it to be Dieter. It's really hopeless now. Anyone can change it. Why is it him? Gajeel growled. He was not afraid of anyone, but still had a little impression of Dieter. Before entering the passage, he thought that even a fierce fight would be fine, as long as it wasn't Dieter. Result. Should we admit defeat? Levi said sadly, and if there is any help for Dieter, Gajeel will definitely be repaired severely. Gajeel said unhappily. It's really unfortunate, I just fight, and the worst result is to be repaired. Besides, I have become very strong now. Levi was speechless, wondering where Gajeel's confidence came from. Dieter's strength is what he knows. The rumor about Dieter in the guild is that even if you don't see Dieter for a while, his strength will increase again when you see him again. To put it bluntly, it means getting stronger all the time. Opposite. Dieter swept over the 2 with a smile on his face, gloating over his misfortune. Zizi, it's unfortunate Levi. Gajeel brought you and me here. What should I do now? It's a bit difficult for me to release the water. Brother Dieter, forgive me. I'm innocent. Levi grimaced. Gajeel was very unhappy with Levi's confession, and mocked. Don't ask him. There is still a chance for the 2 of us to join forces, and I will help you become an S-class wizard. Dieter grinned. Gajeel, who gave you the courage to say that? It's really hard to beat me. Are you too sure you want to fight? Dieter asked. Levi looked at Gajeel and was in a dilemma even if he was afraid that he didn't admit it. After hesitating for a moment, he gritted his teeth. Fight, hit. Nice job. No matter how good Dieter is, I've been beaten half to death by him. Don't worry. The big deal is to lie down for a few days. It's not that I haven't been beaten. Gajeel thumbs up. He spoke of the worst outcome very shyly, and did not take this kind of thing as a shame at all. Instead, he enthusiastically talked about his experience in a half-dead state. Hearing these words, Levi wanted to cry without tears, but when Gajeel said it, Dieter instantly became more terrifying in her eyes. Overlord color. Activate. The powerful momentum is released from Dieter's body, and a single targeted moment envelopes Gajeel. That moment. The ground was hanging. The soil turned out. Gajeel's face changed dramatically, his body sank and knelt on the ground, the veins on his neck exploded, and there was a terrifying fear in his eyebrows. A shallow pit was squeezed out under his feet, and the surrounding of the pit spread out like a spider web. Cracks spread throughout the cave, and the pressure generated by the momentum was visible to the naked eye. Gajeel. Levi could clearly see the odd stance around Gajeel's body at the moment. Also know that at this moment Gajeel is under unprecedented attack. She dared not take the initiative to rush over. I can only stand there and call Gajeel, and I desperately want to find a way to help Gajeel get out of danger. Don't get close. This 63-7 momentum is not something you can bear. Gajeel sipped low. He held his body to resist that power. The eyes carry fearless eyes, the will to fight against everything. Okay. Dieter's unabashed praise, not being instantly crushed by the Overlord, is enough to show that Gajeel's strength is strong enough. Too bad he didn't do his best. As long as you can stand it, you'll pass, Dieter said. The momentum of the Overlord is fully released. In that moment, the sky changed dramatically, and the blue sky and white clouds over Sirius Island were dissipated by Dieter's shocking smash. Like the wrath of heaven, the flowers and trees were all swaying and trembling. They were all afraid of this momentum, and Susu's voice was like a begging cry from them. Boom. Thunder rolls. In the cave, dragons rolled, overturned mountains and seas, and fissures were all over the place. Levi ducked his head in horror and hid in the corner, looking at Gajeel and Dieter with a pale face. The fearful brain tightens its heartstrings, and the parties involved were embarrassed. Gajeel, who was about to resist, was instantly enveloped in a more terrifying aura, and goosebumps exploded all over his body. Nerves snapped instantly. The mouth is slightly open, the eyes are dull, and the body is shaking. The previous strong will to resist also disappeared in an instant, and the whole person was like a fish that left the sea, a goshawk that couldn't fly. Fear. The murderous aura made him short of breath. The cells all over the body are screaming in fear, and the mind is screaming from the inside out. Powerful. Too powerful. How can there be such a suffocating momentum? Deathly breath. He no longer has the will to fight, he just wants to run away, he just wants to escape. I admit defeat. Gajeel conceded defeat intermittently. Under this momentum, he has no resistance at all. Momentum returned. Dieter stopped attacking the two of them, and swept the embarrassed Gajeel with his hands behind his back. Patiently explained. There are many enemies in the future, and there are also many who are so powerful that they are despairing. Everyone must understand how big the world is when he becomes an S-rank mage. After scanning Levi, he smiled and said, "You passed." Whoa whoa whoa. The front gate of the passage is opened. Dieter announced the passage of the two, and without saying a word, turned around and walked back towards the entrance. Levi and Gajeel were left to sit still. Get out of the aisle. Mirajane and Erza and several members who had already been eliminated were soon found. Dieter is back. I don't know who was so unlucky to meet Dieter. Speaking of which, did the person who met Dieter also fail? Mirajane and Erza greeted quickly. The latter also asked eagerly, as if he knew that Dieter would definitely not let his opponent pass. Ilara Erza took it too seriously and forced his opponent out. Mirajane laughed. Erza retorted. Isn't our job to stop them? Dieter's mouth twitched. Looking at the temporary tent, Lisanna and Juvia lying there shook their heads and smiled wryly. Gajeel and Levi. The two of them work well together, but unfortunately their strength is a bit weak, so let's just pass the level, Dieter said. Hey. Erza said in surprise. What, did Gajeel and Levi ever fight Dieter? The president didn't make us have to defeat them at all. Just let them understand that it is not easy for S-rank mages, that's why they arranged it like this. I'm afraid you are the only one who will seriously compete with them, Erza. Dieter answered Erza silently. Suddenly Erza and Mirajane's eyes widened in disbelief. It seems that I didn't expect it to mean that. Gear DOS. The people over there must have passed the customs too, and they can't all get along if we're going to be hard on us, Dieter said. Erza was instantly ashamed. Well, then Juvia and Lisanna are really innocent. Erza sighed. But she still said proudly. There are winners and losers in the game. I have always been brave to fight for the first place. Only Gear DOS and Dieter have no competitive spirit at all, so they will let go. Mirajane, on the other hand, was a little embarrassed. After all, she didn't plan to release the water herself, but no one expected that the two of them would say such a thing to shake her. Then the question is, how can you possibly let your opponent win, Mila? Erza's face is full of gossip. Thinking this way, it seemed that only her opponent was eliminated, and she suddenly felt a little lonely. Mirajane was a little ashamed and said, Evergreen said he was going to marry his brother, and I was too frightened to be attacked by them to win. Elle stopped immediately. The wedding, no, should you say when did they become that kind of relationship? No, Mira Jane denied it, explaining. I think it should be their battle plan to shake me up. I don't think the two of them will have that kind of relationship, because if the two of them get married and have children. Mira Jane thought of that scene. Instantly covered her face and cried, she couldn't believe the picture at all. Ha ha ha, laughing to death, me. Dieter burst into laughter, not to mention, it would be a disaster if Elfman and Evergreen's children were like the former. Fortunately, I'm handsome, you two will give birth to my child, it will definitely be very cute. Dieter sings. Immediately, Erza and Mira Jane stared shyly. What a shame for a child. Dieter, going back next. Wait for the results, Erza interjected. Dieter shook his head. If you don't go back, the Sirius Island thing is not over yet. I feel that there will be changes in the future, and I can help if I stay. Can't go back. Then there is the Grimoire Heart, and the Black Dragon and Zareth, and it would be a shame to leave now. Hey, I can't beat it. Dieter shook his head and sighed after thinking of the Black Dragon and Zareth. He really wanted to help the guild resolve this Black Dragon crisis, but it was right that his strength was very strong at the moment. But it is still much weaker than Hylong. He can only watch, and even he has to think about the seal. That's it. Mira Jane suddenly realized, nodded and agreed. It is indeed a big event to witness the birth of the next S-rank mage. Apparently Mira Jane thought that what Dieter was talking about was the birth of an S-class wizard. Instinct would think so. Mest and Wendy haven't come back yet, I'm taking Juvia to them. At this time, Juvia and Lisanna wake up. After briefly communicating with them, Erza realized that Mest and Wendy hadn't come back yet, and decided to go look for the next two. Okay, stay safe. Mira Jane was cooking and agreed after hearing what Erza said. Remember to fire the flares sometime. Dieter said hello. Okay. Erza took Juvia towards the interior of Sirius Island to look for it. And Dieter yawned and looked at the skyboard. If Dieter is fine, go catch some fish, just enough to make fish soup, Mira Jane suggested. Lisanna immediately raised her hand. I want to, I'm going fishing with brother Dieter. Okay. Dieter agreed with a smile. He took the fishing rod he brought when he came to Sirius Island and started to go fishing. Lisanna followed behind him, smiling like a follower. At the same time, Gajeel and Levi, entering the second mission, are suffering at the moment. How could it be? Levi looked at Gajeel, who was injured, with tears in his eyes. Levi, run away. Gajeel held his stomach and said in pain, this is not a simple war, the severity is beyond imagination. Levi retorted. But, how can I without waiting for him to speak? Gajeel turned his head and drank. Everyone must be notified of this matter as soon as possible. I can deal with this kind of garbage alone. Tears welled up in Levi's eyes. Constantly wiping, she got up and turned away. She knew she had to leave, so as not to distract Gajeel. And Gajeel sneered. Sweeping over the two guys in front of them also satirized, how similar. Did you want to start an all-out war with Fairy Tail? Gajeel murmured with his arms down. It's like the scene at that time, stupid guy. There are so many monsters in Fairy Tail, they came to die. Erza, Mira Jane, Dieter, Gear-Das. These S-rank mages are all there, just pulling out anyone is enough to defeat these people, they are really a bunch of ignorant guys. Quadruple A. Gajeel lowered his head and recalled the memory of being picked up by Dieter and sneered. Yes, I will let you taste the taste of that time. Jang, Pa, when fishing was comfortable, a red flare was fired over Sirius Island. Hey. Flare, red flare. What is that? Lisanna looked curiously at the flare while holding her unique oily hand. Dieter got up and put away the fishing rod. The red signal flare means that Sirius Island was attacked by the enemy, and the S-class mage exam is about to be suspended. Let's go back quickly. After he finished speaking, he hugged Lisanna's slender waist and moved back to the temporary tent. Dieter, Lisanna, you're back. Mira Jane also greeted. Dieter nodded his eyebrows and said, I didn't expect that an enemy would attack at this critical juncture of the S-rank magistrate exam. It seems that the S-rank magistrate exam can't continue. I'm going to be busy, Lisanna and Mila. Stay here to meet. Gear-Das and Fried should come back, and remember to let them enter the island to expel the enemy. Mira Jane nodded, pulled Lisanna down beside him, and cared about Dieter seriously. You also pay attention to safety, don't underestimate the enemy. Hey. Dieter nodded and disappeared in place. Use the knowledge and color to quickly come to the battlefield on Gajeel's side. Erza and Juvia are also there. Erza. Dieter stepped out and glanced at Gajeel, who was weak but had already defeated the enemy, and raised his eyebrows. Well done. I thought you would be defeated. Gajeel curled his lips and replied with a smile. Who will be defeated? They are all rubbish. It hurts. Because of talking, it also caused huge pain in the ribs. Dieter, here you are. Erza's eyes softened and greeted. Miss Erza, Mr. Dieter. What's next? Juvia asked. Dieter said directly. You and Erza find Wendy and Mest first. They may not know where the camp is, and they may be lost. After looking at Levi, he also warned. Levi will take Gajeel back to the camp, and leave the enemy's words to our S-rank mages. No matter how many enemies come, I can beat them. Gajeel disagrees. Levi complained. You can't stand up alone. Why are you trying to be brave? Don't move, I'll send you back. Watching the two people walk with each other. Juvia also wanted to find Gray, but was forced to obey Dieter's orders. Don't worry. Gray is strong enough to deal with a lot of people, and I'm sure he'll love you very much when he knows you trust him so much. Perhaps sensing Juvia's worries, Dieter also quickly comforted Juvia. Love you. Love you. Get married. Have kids. Juvia's eyes suddenly turned into heart-shaped, and her hands covered her blushing face and shyness. Juvia will definitely trust Lord Gray. Juvia's fighting spirit is awe-inspiring. Immediately put aside worries and obey orders 100%. Okay. Then I'll ask your purpose first. Erza put on his valiant armor and walked up to the dog-headed warrior to ask questions. Humph. Who is going to tell you about these kinds of women? Boom. Erza slammed a big bag out of his head with a punch, waiting for his answer. The dog-headed warrior said in pain and aggrieved. It is Zareth, the legendary black magician Zareth. He is on this island now. Erza and Juvia's eyes widened. How is that possible? Erza exclaimed. Juvia hurriedly said, I don't remember Zareth being hundreds of years old. The dog-headed warrior affirmed. It's a person from 400 years ago. After hearing the affirmative words, Erza immediately retorted. No way, how could he still be alive, because Jelil him? At this time, Dieter said, as far as I know, the person Jelil saw at that time should be someone else pretending to be, and the purpose is to lure him into depravity, and Zareth should be alive and well. See the dog-headed warrior to add. Dieter continued. The Zareth that all the dark guilds are looking for is currently in a sleeping state and has not woken up, so the average person can't find him. It also made him uncomfortable that the dog-headed warrior had nowhere to say. His eyes were full of complaints, staring at Unique, wondering how someone in a regular magic guild could understand so much. So the purpose of Grimoire Heart is, Erza said in horror. Juvia also looked very serious. It should be an attempt to awaken Zareth, the dark mage, to rule the world.
Dieter said what was on their minds. This is impossible. This is the holy land of fairy tale. On this island protected by goblins, you dare to do anything wrong.
Erza couldn't believe it, and yelled at the kobold warrior. Ha ha ha. The dog-headed warrior laughed. The seven kin of purgatory, President Hades' direct troops, is coming soon. I advise you not to underestimate him. Pung. Dieter didn't give him a chance to continue, knocking him out with a punch, speaking like we're weak. I didn't expect the Grimoire Heart to attack. It seems that our fairy tale is going to eradicate all the dark guilds. Dieter, you. Both Erza and Juvia looked heavy. I'll go find Wendy, Dieter suggested, and you go meet Gray or Lucy. Juvia's eyes twinkled when she heard the words, and she could not wait to fly to Lord Gray's side and fight side by side with Lord Gray. Okay then. Erza thought about it and agreed. She really had no idea of rejecting Dieter's request. Just as I was about to leave, I remembered what I said when I had a conflict with Mila. He turned his head again and came to Dieter. How? Dieter didn't understand what Erza was going to do, and looked down at Erza's pretty face, who was close at hand. Dieter, who lives in Erza's building, said softly, I ignored you when I was Oracion 6, sorry, but I won't. You are more important than Jelil in my life. Woolen cloth. Dieter was stunned, stroked her hair gently and said, it's okay, you are also very important. The two survive. And Juvia pulled her face and watched enviously. She also wanted to hug Lord Gray like this. Be safe, I'll wait for you to come back. Erza reluctantly left Dieter's arms and took Juvia away after caring to find other members. After witnessing people leave, Dieter scratched his head and laughed happily. Oh, we common people, I'm so happy. Looking at the spot at the top of Sirius Island, he muttered with his neck moving, I'm in a good mood, so I won't torture you all. Let's end it early. Ding. Sign in to the Grimoire Heart Guild, reward 40 skill points. Just as he was about to leap into the air and fly towards the highest point on Sirius Island, the system in his brain rang in time. Marvelous. Dieter rejoiced. Sirius Island S-Class Mage's upgrade exam and the Grimoire Heart Attack are really 2 events, you can get 2 sign-ins. This time, you can also directly upgrade to the full level. It's 1 step closer to opening the next stage of the Devil Fruit treasure chest. It's really cool. Dieter is excited to get a new 40 skill points to add to his experience. At that moment, I succeeded in bringing the experience to full level. So scary, so scary. Why is this? Evil breath, evil power. Who is going to save us? Help. That moment. A large number of calls for help poured into the brain, causing Dieter's head to run rapidly, and countless voices poured in from all directions. What is this? Dieter clenched his brows, and the pain in his brain gave him a splitting headache. Those sounds are weird. It sounds as if the voices of all things in the world are pouring into the brain, like a cry for help from animate and inanimate objects. Is this the ability to hear the voice of all things? Dieter wasn't so sure. But obviously this kind of voice from all directions cannot appear out of thin air, so maybe it is really possible. So you say that the extra attribute you get after you reach the full level is the ability to listen to all things? It's a bit strong. Dieter turned that ability off. The cries for help disappeared at the same time, and Dieter was relieved. His eyes swept over everything around him with lingering fears. It looks like this ability can't be turned on all the time, otherwise the sound of all things will be enough to drive people crazy, Dieter said. Ding. The first stage is over, the system is updated, and the second stage will be entered after the update. The remaining time until the end of the update, 2,554 days, 23 hours 59 minutes and 59 seconds. FCK. Immediately after seeing and hearing the colorful level, the brain system jumped out of the information again. And this information is actually written. System update. And this time. 7 full years. FCK ridicule, which means that no matter what I do in 7 years, I have not improved Goldfinger. Dieter is crazy. Whose system update takes a full 7 years? Damn, system, doesn't that mean that the only way for me now is to be sealed? Dieter's head hurts. A good mood turns bad all of a sudden, Dieter complained. Thinking of the Dark Guild attacking Sirius Island now, his mentality suddenly became unbalanced, and he decided to put his resentment on them. Don't blame me, who made you so unlucky? Dieter leapt and charged towards the highest point where Wendy was. Above. A lot of flowers are planted here at the top, and the fragrance is full of fragrance. Sha Lulu and Pongsalili were confronting Mest at the moment, and the 2 cats noticed his problem. You. What do you mean by that? Mest laughed and said, I'm a disciple of Mistogen. Bang. Pomsaliri's body instantly became huge, and he punched the stone next to Mest's head. He glared at Mest and said, Prince, he can't accept disciples in this world. It is really good to use people who are no longer in this world to confuse everyone. Too bad your identity is wrong, Mest. Wendy behind him immediately exclaimed. Wait a minute. What's the matter? Why did the fight suddenly start? Sha Lulu stopped. Wendy, don't talk yet. Mest's forehead was sweating from the tension, and he stammered. You, what are you talking about? Pomsalili analyzed. Your magic might be able to manipulate people's memories. You cast magic on a guild member and then disguised yourself as a member of the guild. Add in your self-proclaimed prince's apprentice, there's just too much in you, and we can't even think of anyone you've been in contact with. What's more, you don't even know what the guild's signal flare means, so you can't make excuses now. Gollum. Mest swallowed with palpitations. Hey, in the next second, he disappeared in front of his eyes, and when he reappeared, he was already behind Wendy. It's teleportation magic. Oops. Pongsalili and Sha Lulu realized it later, and immediately looked over. I saw Mest grabbed Wendy and fell to the side. Bang. Just that moment. The position where 2 people were standing was detonated. Gravel splashed. Who is it? Come out to me, Mest reprimanded. Both Pongsalili and Sha Lulu looked at it in astonishment. I saw a bulge on the tree trunk not far away, and a person's face slowly appeared. Anyone in the tree? You. Who are you? Ah. Mest, Pongsalili and Sha Lulu immediately watched the figures slowly forming from the tree trunk with vigilance. My name is Ozma, one of the Grimoire Heart 7 kin of Purgatory. Ozma's body shaping. Stepping out of the tree trunk, he slowly revealed his identity. Grimoire Heart? Dark Guild. So the signal flare just now is to inform us that there is an enemy? Wendy and others immediately alerted. That Ozma was unmoved, and his eyes swept across the few people in front of him with no interest. Originally, I thought I could find a few clues by sneaking into the fairy tale, but I didn't expect Zareth and Grimoire Heart to come. Fortunately, I had the foresight to arrange for the troops of the Senate to stand by nearby. Now I can be considered to be able to completely destroy the Grimoire Heart. Destroy. Mest excitedly told about his plan, and Ozma pointed to the distant battleship. Sudden. Boom. The battleship that was slowly approaching not far away was instantly detonated. The sky-high firelight reflected on Mest's face, his eyes widened in disbelief that this man could destroy the Council's battleship in an instant. Oh. Pongsalili instantly seized the opportunity and rushed towards Ozma. Want to seize the opportunity to beat him. Steam explosion. Ozma raised his hand expressionlessly. Boom boom boom. Pongsalili's body was instantly enveloped by the explosion, and the violent explosion drowned him. At the same time, Wendy also took a deep breath and prepared to use Dragon Slayer magic. It's really boring. Ozma said boringly, reached out and aimed at Wendy and used magic instantly. Wendy, Sha Lulu and Pongsalili screamed. But Ozma's magic was still detonated. Boom. A loud roar detonated where Wendy was. Smoky. The place was a mess. It's boring. Are there only cats and children in this guild? Ozma said. When he was about to leave, he suddenly found a figure in the smoke. Call. A strong wind blew, leaking the scene inside. I saw a handsome young man standing in front of Wendy, blocking Wendy's smaller body with his body. Hey. You Grimoire Heart will only bully our guild children, it's a shame. Wendy and the others immediately burst into laughter. Brother Dieter. Dieter, great, well, here comes Dieter. Several people were talking, obviously feeling very relieved about Dieter's arrival. As long as he is there, no matter what the strength of the enemy is, he will destroy all foreign enemies. Even Grimoire Heart is no exception. Finally, there is a person who is worthy of a fight. I hope your strength will not be too bad, that would be too boring. Ozma moves muscles and bones. The look in Dieter's eyes was full of fighting intent, and the desire to fight was stronger than ever. Brother Dieter, his magic is very strange, Wendy quickly reminded. It was impossible to tell what type of magic was used from the previous magics, and this was the most careless thing. Ozma smiled without explaining. And Dieter squinted his eyes and shook his head with a smile. One of the seven kin of purgatory, Ozma. Magic is lost magic, the arc of a big tree. It can inject the magic of the earth into the fruit and cause an explosion. Controlling the magic power accumulated in the earth, in short, as long as it is within the scope of his magic, it can be directly detonated anywhere. Isn't it, Ozma? Shock. Ozma stared at Dieter in disbelief. He never thought that this person would be able to say the magic that he used completely. Even the nature can be told. This is lost magic, it is impossible to understand so clearly without any knowledge. There is something wrong with this guy. What? It turned out to be lost magic, it is really strong. It's no wonder that being able to bomb the warships at will, and infuse magic into fruit, is basically no solution. Several people exclaimed. They didn't expect that the man in front of him was using the same lost magic as Dragon Slayer magic. This kind of power and almost incomprehensible characteristics is really taboo. Suck. I didn't expect fairies to know so much, but now that you know it, how do you resolve it? Ozma laughed. After speaking, he reached out and waved his hand, and instantly released the magic again. Boom boom. The sound of an explosion resounded through the sky, wrapping Dieter's figure, and a large amount of powerful magic exploded beside him. If it was another person, it would be important not to die. Smoke rises. The ground after the explosion was a mess. The potholes show the power of the explosion. Wendy looked over worriedly. It's true that Dieter is strong, but is it really okay to be enveloped by that sudden explosion? Even if they are injured, they do not want to see it. That's it. Smoke dissipated. Dieter's figure appeared without any scars on his body. Not even the clothes were blown up. How can it be? Ozma was taken aback, and the large amount of explosive fruit drowned this person. Even the other people who were also seven kin of purgatory could not be safe. But the guy in front of him was unscathed. How is this possible? At the same time, he was constantly searching for the magic and information of the guy in front of him in his mind. Suddenly surprised to find that there are not many clues about this person. Who the hell are you guy? As a dark guild, the most hated is the fairy tale, and President Hades often investigates the first place in this regular guild. Therefore, there are also investigations on the strength and magic of the internal members. The information about this guy in front of him is only a few words. Love fishing. Don't go home all year round. Living in a guild since childhood. These are the only information, and there is no other clue. How can it be? Ozma couldn't believe it. Soon, Ozma took a deep breath and his eyes were extremely solemn. Although there was no clue about this person, he was not afraid. Although I don't know what's going on with your magic, my strength is stronger. The chains explode. Ozma shouted angrily, and saw the tree where Dieter was standing broke out of the ground from the ground, wrapped around the unique, and at the same time detonated instantly. The tree exploded from its roots all the way to Dieter. Boom boom. The power is stronger, and the range of the explosion is denser. He was about to blow the Dieter in front of him to shreds. A series of explosions formed a unique scene. Ozma did not stop, reaching out and aiming again. Crazy edge. Blasting claw. The branch looked at Dieter, and the tip of the branch exploded again, and a more concentrated explosion rang out. Furthermore, it is compressed into plump fruits through the magic of the earth. 3 claw-like explosions were generated. A series of explosive attacks blew up the area around Dieter's body. The flames from the explosion scorched the ground black. The ground is sinking. It is enough to prove how terrifying the power of that series of explosions is. How many times do I have to tell you? Your explosions are nothing but tickling. Dieter's voice emerged lazily from the smoke from the explosion. At this point he was no longer as clean as before. The clothes on his body were a little dirty, but even so, he didn't break a hole. Brother Dieter. It's amazing. Dieter's strength is too terrifying, those explosions are useless to him. This guy. When did Fairy Tail have such a number 1? Humph. Dieter is still very strong. Both Ponzalili and Wendy were pleasantly surprised and had a clear understanding of Dieter's strength. And Mest was a little shocked. He really didn't expect that there are such terrifying people in the Fairy Tail Guild, and those explosive explosions with such power did nothing at all. And Ozma was also moved. No solution, simply incomprehensible. Dieter gave him the feeling that he was an iron bucket that he couldn't attack, and this kind of defense was too amazing. Defense? Ozma was stunned for a moment, and his brain was running fast. From the beginning to now, this one called Dieter is just passive defense, and has never shot. Is his magic a defensive magic or something? There is no attack power, so the defense power is so terrifying? Right. It must be. Ozma was ecstatic, thinking that he must have guessed right. Dieter's eyes were slightly red, and he instantly understood what Ozma was going to do next, and sneered with disdain. Narrated. Your magic is rubbish, and today I will let you experience what it means to be powerful. As soon as Dieter's words fell, he himself disappeared. In an instant, Ozma's back was cold, and his powerful fighting instinct felt that his danger was approaching rapidly. Immediately with both hands, flame tower explosion. The sky-high explosion shot straight into the sky, and the explosion was like an unyielding giant tower bursting open in an instant, and its power was raised to the extreme. This is to prevent attacks from behind. Armed color slow flow. Dieter's voice did not fluctuate, and the figure appeared in front of Ozma again. He clenched his right fist and placed it on his waist. The fist was wrapped in a red airflow, and the arm turned black. A straight punch came. Fear. Ozma felt extreme terror. That terror is as if facing something, the great terror of despair. That straight punch was very slow, but Ozma's body screamed endlessly. It's like begging for mercy. His brain nerves were tense, and his body's intuition sent him a message of escape, let him run quickly. The body can't move at all. It was as if the person locked in that fist had to fight it hard. Boom. The fist landed on the stomach, and the pain like death broke out instantly. Ozma's eyes were instantly bloodshot, his brain was rapidly congested, and his heart stopped because of this punch. Severe pain followed by force. The strength was something he had never experienced before. His body was flying backwards at a rapid rate, falling on the ground and rolling down constantly. Every time he collided with the ground, he could smash the ground into a big hole. Pung. But it's not over yet. As his body kept rolling, Ozma saw Dieter's figure continue to come slightly in the sky. Fall hard. Another punch hit the right chest. Taste. Cough cough. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and Ozma felt that his right chest had been sunken. The bones and internal organs may have been broken. Cough cough. Ozma wanted to speak, but he opened his mouth to spit out blood, and the blood was mixed with minced meat. I don't know what it was. Die. The fear of death strikes. Ozma's body was unable to move, and his consciousness was constantly blurred. He felt like he was dying. His eyes were also moved when he saw Dieter's handsome face. Really powerful and terrifying, this kind of person is afraid that no one in Grimoire Heart can compete with him except President Hades. Funny, what a big joke. They even want to destroy Fairy Tail incidentally. How is this possible? With this guy around, no one can destroy Fairy Tail. Your strength is very weak, your physique is vulnerable. Dieter looked down at him, opened his palms to grab his head, and muttered, as the price of attacking Fairy Tail, you will die here. Boom boom boom. The earth was torn apart, and a huge pothole became the burial place of one of the 7 kin of Purgatory. Destroyed one of the 7 kin of Purgatory with 2 punches and 1 palm. It's amazing. You beat that guy so quickly. Pomsalili admired. When I thought of Daedalus, I was also knocked down by 1 move, and I felt extremely sympathetic in my heart. It's just that this guy was unlucky to run into Dieter. If it was someone else, there was still hope of victory, but it was a pity that Dieter didn't even have a chance to survive. Dieter, Mest, he's not blowing, why are people gone? Shah Lulu saw that the enemy had disappeared, and she should also deal with Mest's affairs, but she just found out when Mest had disappeared. Yes, Mr. Mest doesn't seem to be a member of our guild, but a member of the Senate, Wendy said. Dieter nodded. Mest's matter is not important, you don't have to worry about it. Now the top priority is to deal with Grimoire Heart. Since it is safe here, then I should go to the next place. You all go back to the camp. Wendy, a few people are strange though. But there was no refutation, and the camp left after agreeing to ask questions. And Dieter was figuring out who to deal with next. Whatever, deal with whoever you find first. Dieter decided to follow the fate and headed in a random direction, ready to eradicate the enemy there. Purgatory, there are still 6 of the 7 family members left. In the woods, Natsu wraps his fists in flames and wipes out enemies that fall from the sky. Incredibly powerful. Haha, okay, you all quit. A guy with unkempt blonde hair and red eyes came out of the woods. Lord Zankoro, the group of beating up embarrassed people, immediately called respectfully. You are not his opponent, he. Zankro swayed towards this side with a swaying pace, making arrogant laughter. Zankro waved away. Go find Zarif, I'll be enough to deal with this guy. Yes. After Lord Zankro came, we too were saved. This guy is terrible, he must be the rumored fire dragon. Grimoire Heart's subordinates immediately breathed a sigh of relief and praised Natsu. Zan K. Luo's smiling face suddenly solidified, and said coldly, stop, bastard. The group of men suddenly stiffened. Realize something is wrong. Did you just say he was strong? Zankro demanded. The subordinates immediately knew that they had said something they shouldn't have said, and immediately made amends. Not. There is no guild stronger than Grimoire Heart in this world. Several subordinates immediately announced that Grimoire Heart is the strongest guild, trying to make up for what they said earlier. But Zankro didn't give him a chance at all, with a gas-black flame in his hand, and angrily scolded. We are the strongest guild, Grimoire Heart doesn't need the weak. Boom. The flame was unleashed by Zankro, by the way. The subordinates were drowned, and the flames burned their bodies, listening to their tragic cries. Ha. Zankro laughed uncontrollably while listening to the beautiful scream. Black flames. Natsu was also surprised when he saw the flames, but still scolded. Bastard. You actually attacked your own companions. Zankro responded with a fire. A tornado of flames released from his fist and swept toward Natsu. Flame is useless to me. Natsu's mouth widened to devour the black flames. Surprisingly, the black flame was not swallowed by Natsu, but drowned him, burning his body. Natsu was beaten in a hurry, and he grabbed the black flame with both hands and was surprised. I can't eat. What's the matter with this flame? Dragon hunters dare to be so arrogant. Zankro was disdainful, and the flames heated up again, instantly knocking Natsu out. Boom. Natsu's screams rang out. He. Zankro smiled and said, if you still want to devour the flame of the gods, which is far higher than the flame of the dragon, you will be punished by heaven. With a mad smile, he continued, your magic can't be compared to mine, but I'm just a god-destroying magician. Killing god. Natsu propped up and looked at Zankro in disbelief. Natsu roared and attacked Zankro frantically, his fists turned into afterimages. grabbing the red flames and attacking continuously. The power of dragon hunting is nothing but that. Zankro sneered at the barrage of attacks that would be enough to counter Natsu with one hand. Natsu slammed his fists and asked, "What is a god destroyer? Is it a god who taught you magic?" Boom boom boom. Zankro is constantly at war with Natsu. The magic of both of them has very powerful destructive power, and every blow can shatter the ground. The potholes swore how fierce the battle was. Fire Dragon's brilliant flame, god of fire, Kagetsuchi. Rumbling. The ground shattered, and the two men's battle destroyed the surrounding trees. The ground and weeds burn with black or red flames, igniting everything around them into a sea of fire. Natsu screamed, and his body was knocked out. In the confrontation of flames, Natsu's dragon flames were defeated by the flames of the god, 670. He is suppressed. You bastard. Natsu became more and more brave, took a deep breath and swelled up, and roared at Zankro, Fire Dragon's roar. The flames shattered the ground. Breath smashed all the way towards Zankro. Did you know? God gave the concept of fire to human beings, and it was neither human nor dragon who gave birth to fire, but God. Kind Zankro speaks. Looking at the roaring breath, he took a deep breath and instantly swallowed Natsu's flames. How is this possible? After watching the flames being swallowed alive, Natsu also felt powerless, flame restraint, strength restraint. How could he fight? He felt more difficult than ever. It's a delicious flame, a flame that burns forever. Zankro praised Natsu's fire, savoring it. But it can kill dragons, but it can't kill gods. The wrath of the flame god. A more powerful flame spewed out of Zankro's mouth, and the power was several times stronger than Natsu's. Instantly hit Natsu. Natsu was kicked out, and severe pain came from all over his body. Gah! At this moment, a light flashed, caught Natsu from the air, and landed again. Dieter. Natsu looked at the person who caught him with difficulty, and smiled embarrassedly when he saw Dieter. He didn't seem to want Dieter to see him in a mess. Enough Natsu, rest well, all enemies who hurt your comrades will die here. Dieter placed Natsu on the large rock next to him. Sweeping the injury on Natsu's body can't help but love eyebrows, it's really hard to start. Natsu was smiling. Ahahahaha. Zankro laughed wildly, his perverted face swept over Dieter in front of him, and said, "Another one, great, let me have fun." Have fun? Dieter laughed and stepped forward, and replied with a playful smile. Yes, Ozma from your seven kin of purgatory really made me happy, so I gave him death. Zankro, who was laughing wildly, stopped in the summer, and looked at Dieter with some doubts about his hearing, whether he had auditory hallucinations just now. 2 punches in one palm, said Dieter, holding out 3 fingers, kill him. Impossible. Zankro immediately denied it. We, 7 kin of purgatory is the most powerful, how could it possibly die? You must be lying to me, trying to distract me, right? It's useless, you have no idea how powerful we are. Zankro reasoned himself. His eyes were fixed on Dieter's body without shifting, wanting to see the expression he wanted to see. Pity. Dieter has a playful smile throughout. This makes Zankro have to wonder if Ozma is really dead. Impossible, it shouldn't. When did Ozma become so weak that he would be killed? No, absolutely wrong. Zankro muttered frantically to himself. The next second, he put on a perverse smile again, and said cruelly, no matter how much, as long as you are torn to pieces, it doesn't matter if you live or die. Boom. Saying that, he stepped on his feet hard. The huge force collapsed the ground beneath his feet, holding the black flame of God in his hand and attacking Dieter. Dieter punches. Boom. The 2 fists slammed together. A wave of air blew around the strong fist wind. Your flame is no different than the flame of my grilling fish, Dieter scoffed. Zankro laughed, took a deep breath at Dieter and roared, the wrath of the fire god. The black flame slammed into Dieter's body at close range, and a powerful force knocked Dieter out and flew into the air and fell to the ground. Go to hell. Zankro raised his body and wrapped his fist with this rich black flame. The arrow of the fire god. Aiming at Dieter in the air, he launched a penetrating and powerful flame column. The black arrow was extremely fast. What he thought was that Dieter couldn't control his body in the air, so he thought of this method. Once he was hit, he would definitely penetrate his body, and he would be seriously injured if he didn't die. Pity. Zankro would never have imagined that Dieter's body had been knocked out on purpose. The black arrow was about to penetrate. Dieter's body slid sideways to avoid the arrows. Zancro's laughter stopped abruptly below, and his face was a little stiff, looking unique and unbelievable. How is this possible? He, if you can dodge once, you can dodge the second time. Zancro responded very quickly. Seeing that the fire god's arrow had failed, he immediately held both hands in half. The black flames condensed, and soon formed a draft-shaped broadsword, which was ready to wait until the moment Dieter fell. Ha ha. Dieter sneered. The moment his body fell from the air, the draft-shaped broadsword slashed towards him. Suffer to death, great sword of flames. With a sound like tearing apart the space, Zancro swung the broadsword in his hand and slashed horizontally. Armed color. Dieter stood unmoved, his body quickly covered in a layer of black matter. Hard against that big knife. Ding. Dumbblade. Collision with the body. Dieter's body did not change at all. But the big knife in Zancro's hand cracked, and it quickly shattered and disappeared. How is that possible? My broadsword has a very powerful severing power, how can it be broken? Zancro regretted it. Looking at the big knife slowly disappearing in his hand, he exclaimed, and he couldn't figure out why it was useless. Your weak sword. Dieter's heart was aimed at Zancro, and an air bomb shot out instantly. You. The force instantly hit Zancro, causing him to groan, and his body was knocked out a few meters away. How can it be? Zancro looked at Dieter in front of him, his magic power was also consumed a lot, and he probably didn't have much magic power without flames. And the person in front of him had nothing to do from the beginning to the end, as if he was not disturbed by magic at all. The fight was unscathed. I gave you a chance to show it, but you're not strong enough, you didn't even hurt a single hair of mine, you're really weak. Dieter shook his head mockingly. Steps towards Zancro, it's time for him to attack. He, wait to die. Zancro laughed again, his hands covered in black flames, quickly forming a pair of jackpots, ready to devour Dieter. An interesting magic. Dieter shook his head and sneered, his stride did not stop, and he continued to move forward to kill the man. The fire god's supper. There seemed to be a pair of eyes on the pair of grand prizes, and the red light flashed, forming a giant fireball that covered the sky and the sun. The fireball was enormous, covered the sky where the two were fighting. It looks a bit powerful, Dieter replied with a smile, unfortunately, I'm not interested in playing with you anymore. Gah, extremely fast. The rushing wind is blowing in. Zancro's face trembled as he blew, and he felt the depression of the room's breath hit. Zancro's heart skipped a beat, and Dieter in the distance was already in front of him, so close at hand, he could clearly see those deadly eyes. The right fist is clenched tightly, the fist is covered with a pitch black color, and there is a cherry red airflow around it. The fist was aimed at the throat. Zancro's eyes kept shrinking, his neck tightened, and the fist seemed to be slowed down countless times in his eyes. A little bit toward the throat. Can't escape, are you going to die? Zancro only had this thought in his mind at this time, and the feeling of powerlessness was very obvious. Taste. The fist hit the throat, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Tay smashed Zancro's throat and beat him out. Wow Lala the body knocked down one tree trunk and set it on a boulder blocking the road. The blood from the nose and mouth could not stop flowing out, infecting the clothes on the body, and there was a strong panic in the eyes. Too fast. Too much power. Zancro also believes that Ozma may indeed be dead. It's really hard to survive against such a terrifying enemy. The power in the body is constantly flowing. Zancro's body is cold, and he can clearly feel the smell of death. The gap is too big, and the magic can't cause any injuries. Instead, he was hit by a move and was on the verge of death. Da. Dieter walked towards Zancro, and the sound of footsteps on his fragile heart made him feel hopeless. Go in peace. Dieter came to Zancro again step by step, raised his palm and patted his forehead. Added. Your death will not be the end, it won't be long before the 7 kin of purgatory others will go down with you. Taste. Die. Since the death of the god-destroying magician, there may be no more fire-destroying magic in the future. Purgatory, 5 of the 7 familiars remain. Dieter grumbled and walked towards Natsu, came to him and saw that although he was bruised, there was no big problem in general. Have a good rest, I'm going to deal with the others. After muttering a few words to Natsu, Dieter also left. Get ready to screen the next unlucky 7 dependents. Boom 7 kin of purgatories, Caprico, single-handedly beat Lucy, Kana, Gray, and Loki to the brink. This guy. A guy to the four of us, so strong. Gray's body is weak, and looking at the guy who looks like a goat, he can't believe that the four of them were beaten without the ability to fight back. What the hell are you guys doing? Why bother me to take the S-rank wizard upgrade exam? Kana supported her heavy body and looked at Caprico questioning angrily. The great magic world has created a world with only magicians, and all those without magic power will be wiped out. Caprico pushed the glasses on his face with endless yearning in his tone. What? You want to destroy all those who have no magic power? The great magical world, it's so weird to do this, such a cruel world. It's not good for anyone. Gray and the others immediately denied it. Everyone said that the world is too extreme, ordinary people do not exist, there is only a magical world. Actually, I can't understand the real intention of President Hades, that is probably the realm that can only be achieved by those who understand the abyss of magic. Capelli Science explains. Zareth is on this island, and when we get him, the world will be surrounded by magic and reborn. Boring. Just as Capelli Science was about to continue speaking, a voice sounded. Gray and the others looked at the sound. Dieter came out of the woods with disdain written all over his face, and continued. You guys are so weak, you don't deserve to be Zareth's subordinates. Weak? Kana and several people's faces are not good looking. The four of them fought desperately, but they were still easily evaded. As the guys from Seven Kin of Purgatory, they can really understand what it means to be strong, and that kind of strong strength really makes it impossible for them to continue fighting. As a result, Dieter's mouth has become very weak. Dieter brother, this guy is very strong, the four of us can't hurt him, Lucy reminded. Dieter's mouth twitched, however. Disgusted. Gray, you are so weak, you can't even deal with such a small role, and Loki, you are celestial spirit anyway, the feet of real vegetables. Loki shook his head awkwardly. He really had nothing to say because it was true. And Gray complained impatiently. What, obviously this guy is too strong, and I haven't been serious, otherwise I can definitely beat him. Dieter disagreed. He glanced at Caprico in front of him. He answered, the so-called Seven Kin of Purgatory is just a good title. In fact, their very dishes, such as Ozma and Zancro, can't support my 3 moves. Caprico's eyes narrowed. He said calmly, it's not justified, none of us Seven Kin of Purgatory is so easy to defeat. I can't feel any magic power that threatens me from you, so you are framing me.
Ah. Dieter started his classic sneer again, looking at Caprico unmoved.
As if to say whether you believe it or not. Since you are so confident, let me test out how you can hold me up. Caprico didn't see any panic and fear on Dieter's face, and began to mutter in his heart. Could Ozma and Zancro really be defeated? Simply test the strength directly. Gah! That moment. Caprico stomped hard. The strong leg of lamb exerted force, smashed the stone bricks under his feet, and rushed forward, so fast that the four of Gray couldn't even see it. Dieter, watch out. Although she didn't see any movement, Kana quickly reminded Dieter. But Kana's voice was still much slower. When the reminder she blurted out sounded, that Caprico had come to Dieter, raised his knees and hit Dieter's chest. Once it hits a solid rib, at least a few will be broken and the combat power will be greatly reduced. Can Dieter do it? Although Caprico's speed is extremely fast, in Dieter's eyes it is still no different from the speed of a snail. The moment he lifted his knee and hit it, he immediately raised his leg and swept. Pung! The legs of the two people collided immediately in the air. The powerful force made the collision sound particularly harsh, like a sonic boom. Kick. The two legs are wrestling, uniquely understated, resisting the huge force from the goat's leg. Something good. Caprico's strength is different from Dieter, and I didn't expect to be able to withstand it in the wrestling stage. But he was unafraid. With his hands together and waving forward, a strange line appeared. Turn it on. Ruben Caluto's hero, Sonya Osen. Sudden. A man in ancient costume with a crescent knife appeared and slashed at Dieter with a weapon. Instant power release. Knock out Dieter's body. What happened? What is that? A person. Several people in Kana said that it was the first time they saw Caprico's magic. Is it also a summoning type? Otherwise, how could a person appear out of thin air? Stab. Dieter was slashed by the force with both feet on his feet, causing him to pare 2 deep grooves out of the ground. His clothes were slid open, revealing the muscles inside. But the huge crescent knife did not scratch Dieter. He is the young hero who led the anti-kingdom army to victory in the Ruben Caluto civil war that broke out in X-779. General Sonya Osen. According to records, his whereabouts are unknown after the war, and the truth is that he became my puppet. Caplico doesn't seem to mind answering everyone's confused questions, and answers them diligently. But Gray and the others looked at the person who came out in horror. You actually captured humans and summoned them? Loki asked through gritted teeth. Lucy also felt creepy. Celestial spirit arresting human beings. This kind of thing happened in front of my eyes, I can't believe it. Hey. When Caprico was complacent, he only felt a strong wind blowing from his side. Looking at it, he found that there was only a huge fist coming towards him, and a punch hit him in the face and knocked him out and slammed into the stone wall, creating a pothole. Too weak. Your strength is too weak. Dieter took a step forward, his feet were stomping, and the armed colored glue was released violently. The hanging floor hanging under your feet, it's smashing. The violent power is venting wildly from Dieter's body. That power is extreme and powerful. A visible momentum formed around Dieter's body, shattering the stones on the ground into small particles and suspending them around. And the whole scene of Sirius Island caused a small-scale earthquake due to Dieter's crazy operation of power. A powerful aura made Gray and Nacaplico clearly visible. Long. Hearts are pounding. The heart palpitations are constantly rising. This power. Could this be Dieter's true power? It's heart palpitating. I feel the aura of the edge, it's too shocking. Dieter's strength is so strong. How can this guy be so powerful? Brother Dieter, so strong. The four of Lucy said that they were different, and they were amazed when they watched the stones on the ground show off their wealth because of their imposing manner. It was the first time they had seen each other, and just the release of power could cause such a situation. You guy. Caprico stared in surprise. He didn't expect Dieter's strength to be so powerful. At first, he thought that the strength of the two was almost the same, but he didn't expect that he had been trying his best. Is it the real power now? 5 stars. Caplico didn't hesitate too much, and with one hand, 5 soldiers with weapons were summoned and attacked Dieter. It's useless. Dieter replied coldly, clenching his fist and punching him forward. Boom. The fist instantly in the air caused a sonic boom. With one punch, the 5 summoned soldiers were instantly torn apart by mysterious power. Disappear directly in front of the eyes. Just one punch. The punch made those present feel tricky and frightened. Too strong. The power of the physique is too strong, isn't it? Is this really the power that a person can temper? Gray gasped as he watched the 5 soldiers who had been punched out. It was only at this moment that he realized that the previous Dieter had never fought seriously at all, and this moment was the tip of the iceberg of his strength. Fear. It's simply too terrifying. That force might even cause a tsunami if it hits the ground, right? The 4 of them were all moving and imagining. He was really shocked by Dieter's strength, which was truly terrifying like never before. That Caprico couldn't help but be moved. I can't believe that there is such a person in this world. That strength is too strong, it is simply terrifying. But that's fine too. Tricky is the first feeling, and then I feel very lucky, and immediately leaked a strange smile. His hands were instantly opened, and the blue-black magic power was visible to the naked eye and released by him. He roared at Dieter. Submit, you are so strong that you can definitely become my puppet, ha ha ha. Be my puppet, human sunlight. He released his magic power and tried to subordinate Dieter, trying to subdue Dieter into a puppet. Lucy and the others stared at each other and their hearts tightened. They clenched their fists and stared at Dieter, for fear that this move could really subordinate Dieter, which would definitely be a disaster for Fairy Tail. Watching with sweaty palms. Belong to me? Dieter seemed to hear the funniest thing ever. What qualifications do you have? Dieter uses the Navy 6. Immediately disappeared in place, instantly came to Caprico, clenched his fist and smashed it hard. Hidden mice, get out of lousy. Boom. Dieter roared and slammed into Caprico's stomach. In an instant, a figure appeared on Capelli Science and floated out of his body. He. It just so happens that I can change my body, so just merge with me. The figure rushed towards Unique with a smile, apparently intending to merge with Unique to temporarily live in his body. Dieter laughed. The eyes narrowed sharply. Overlord color activated. With Dieter as the center, a powerful and visible imposing field appeared, instantly shrouding Dieter and the phantom that floated out. Puff. At that moment, the phantom body sank instantly. A sense of terror from the heavenly palace descended, and immediately fell to the ground in shock, with fear written in his eyes. Looking at Dieter, he panicked. How could it be? It's terrible. Why is it so terrible? Terrible. Please spare me, balls. Study neighbors. But before he could finish speaking, the phantom turned into magic power and slowly disappeared before his eyes. Dieter took back the overlord color and whispered, 7 kin of purgatory, the remaining 4. What's the matter? Why is there a phantom? Is it because the soul cannot be formed? But how can a sheep have a personal soul? So what exactly happened just now? Lucy and the others were very puzzled. It was indeed a phantom that floated out just now. If it was a soul, why would it be a sheep? Loki said, Caprico, talk about it. Caprico, who was phantomed, stood up and walked towards Lucy. Although Lucy was at a loss when he saw this, he immediately ran to Dieter's side and looked at Caprico worriedly. Don't worry, let him finish. Dieter grabbed Lucy's hand and patted her comfortably. Both Gray and Kana over there looked over curiously, and seemed to find that there should be something indescribable here, waiting for the next words. Caprico came to the front and knelt down and said, Master Lucy, it is an honor to be your celestial spirit. I will have it to protect you. Hey. Lucy is confused, celestial spirit? Her? When did it happen? At this time, she saw the key bag on her waist lit up, and quickly took it out to check, and found that there was an extra key. You're Capricorn celestial spirit. But why on me, and when did I sign a contract with you? Lucy asked. Caprico replied. That was 20 years ago, when Layla Sama quit her job as a wizard because of her ill health. Etc. Lucy hurriedly stopped. She asked, Layla, yes. Dieter touched his chin. It's Lucy's mother. I heard that she is a very beautiful beauty, very similar to Lucy's. Gray and Kana were also surprised. Unexpectedly, this matter even involved Lucy's family. They all knew that Lucy's father used to be very rich. Sure enough, her mother was not simple. Yes, Lord Layla is the most merciful host I have ever met. She handed over the celestial spirit. I, Lord Aquarius, and Lord Cancer, to 3 servants. Caprico continued speak. Seeing that there is an inside story, Gray, Kana and Yi also gathered around to listen. One of the servants was Zoldeo, and I gave him the keys, and Zoldeo was the phantom that floated out of me, Caprico said. But in fact, I also made another contract with Layla Sama. The content is that if Layla Sama's descendants set foot on the path of the sorceress, I will always protect her family. Hearing this, Gray and the others understood why Caprico called Lucy the master. Loki also said, so your contractor has also become Lucy. Caprico nodded and continued. Zoldeo also agreed to this contract at the time, but soon after he was eroded by the darkness of the magic way. Fortunately now with the help of Lord Dieter, I finally returned to the master. The voice fell. Caprico's body also turned into light and slowly disappeared in front of his eyes. The magic power is exhausted, it should be the celestial spirit world. Dieter released Lucy's little hand, stood up and sighed. Lucy was a little surprised, touched the Capricorn key in his hand and smiled, whispering softly, Mom. Gray and Kana were also a little surprised. It turned out that it was not Caprico who attacked them, but the possessed Zoldeo. You are also very tired. Go back to the camp, and leave the rest of the battle to me. At present, there are only 4 people left in 7 kin of purgatory, and the battle will be over soon. Dieter told the 4 Greys to go back early, while he himself went to find the next target. Boom. In the ruins of a dilapidated city, an odd monster forces Elfman and Evergreen to retreat. The monster punched the smoke and dust of the abandoned building hammer, and the rubble flew around. Damn it. What monster is that? Elfman couldn't help but question when he looked at the monster in front of him. Evergreen complained. Only you are not qualified to say that. With his hair combed back and with sunglasses on his face, Lastros explained. This is my guardian beast, Belukushes of Thunder. Boom. The monster roared and punched again. The 2 people dodged the attack in embarrassment, the wall was smashed, and the power was amazing. Lastros pushed his glasses and said poetically, the meeting of demons and angels is an inevitable fate. The following Elfman was dissatisfied with the provocation. I don't care if you are a devil or an angel. If you are a man, you will fight with me in a dignified manner. Hearing this, Lastros smiled and replied, Berukushes, you can decide the outcome in a dignified manner. The monster was ordered immediately. Stepping forward and waving fists, he attacked the 2 of Elfman. Goblin machine gun. Compared to Elfman's provocation, Evergreen used magic directly, and a large number of small light points burst out. Ding ding ding. But Evergreen's attack did nothing. The explosion on the huge monster also failed to form an effective attack. What? No effect on it. Evergreen was startled, and the huge monster turned towards her with its fists, and was about to tear her apart completely. Looking at the fist that was getting closer, Evergreen could only hold his head to endure the blow. Yo! Sounded. But the monster's fist didn't fall on him, and Evergreen quickly looked at it. I don't know when a figure appeared in front of me. He was not very tall, but it gave people a sense of security. The person who came was Dieter. Brother Dieter. Elfman also hurriedly called out with a smile. Whoever has the most sense of security in the guild is definitely Dieter. As long as he is there, no matter how powerful the enemy is, there is no fear. Is it too much to bully my younger brother and younger siblings? Dieter raised his hand and flipped the monster's fist, and even its body was forced back several meters by inertia. Who is your brother and sister? Don't talk nonsense, Brother Dieter, I have nothing to do with him. Elfman and Evergreen rebutted immediately. Listening to Dieter pretending to be weird, he turned to look at them and said, You're kidding me, but I heard Mila say you're going to have a baby. Nonsense. That's a plan. The two retorted again, obviously not admitting 100% of his words. Dieter showed an expression of sudden realization, and nodded with a vague understanding. It's okay if you don't have a baby, after all, you have to get married first. After we go back, Mila and I will prepare the wedding for you, and by the way, I will go to Lagos's to pay the bride price. Try to get Evergreen over as soon as possible.
No, I don't have that kind of relationship with this big guy at all.
Yes, Brother Dieter, don't get me wrong, we really don't care, we just lied to Sister Mila before. The two continued to deny. Obviously not intending to agree with this kind of thing, after all, it is about innocence. Dieter pretended to be confused, and nodded seriously in agreement. Don't worry, I won't reveal it, and Alba doesn't have to be shy. My brother is slow, but he is still very nice and obedient, he won't fail you. Evergreen frantically grabbed his hair and explained, I have nothing to do with him. Elfman also muttered, Dieter, I'm not stupid at all. Did not continue to listen to their explanation. Dieter turned his head to look at Rusty Rose and said again, As the price of your beating my brother and sister, I give you death, please me before that, let me feel your weak strength. Evergreen opened his mouth to refute, but kept his mouth shut after struggling for a long time. Have to. Dieter didn't listen to her explanation anyway, and it was totally unnecessary to explain it any further, so forget it. Why don't you explain? Elfman immediately asks straight male questions. Why should I explain? That's your brother, you should explain. Evergreen retorted. Elfman muttered. It's obviously you who lied to my sister's attention, you should explain it. Evergreen turned to him. Do you guys want to be turned to stone by me first? I'm not afraid, you stupid. The two immediately got into a quarrel. The fighting Dieter and Rusty Rose feel that they are a good match. Belukushes, crush him. No matter who the opponent is, Rusty Rose immediately ordered the guardian beast to rush over to attack. At the same time he followed closely behind. I am the king of the underworld, and these hands are the dark swords that can cut everything. Rusty Rose recites a poem. In conjunction with the fist of the guardian beast Belukushes, it swung towards the unique. He said in his mouth, fall down, fall to the other side of darkness. The arm turned into a huge steel claws, and the pain went straight towards Dieter's chest. Roar. The guardian beast also raised its arms high, and fell from the sky. The heavy force, carrying the strong wind, aimed at Dieter's head, and was about to defeat him with one blow. Yo. Dieter raised his right fist to Rusty Rose's giant steel claw, bang. The left arm rests overhead. Dieter's feet sank sharply when the huge arm hammer landed on the resisting forearm on Dieter's head. The stone brick hanging is broken and hanging. The feet were inserted straight into the ground, and the surrounding cracks were like lush branches, extending in a criss-cross manner. The strength is good. Dieter replied with a smile, his forearm lifted hard, and the body of the guardian beast was tossed out with a clanging sound. The guardian beast was once again driven back by inertia. After overturning the guardian beast, Dieter lifted his foot and kicked the body of Lastros, also kicking him out. Immediately afterwards, the branches and leaves on the ground continued to bloom like lush branches. More cracks continued to spread around. Blast. Dieter's body followed Rusty Rose, who was pulled out. When he is about to come, Rusty Rose is in front of him, his palms are slapped on him, and the power is gathered in both palms. 6 types of profound truth and 6 king's spears. Boom, explosion. Terrifying explosion exploded on Rusty Rose in an instant. The rumbling roar sounded like thunder. Behind him, Evergreen and Elfman stared wide-eyed, as if waiting for Dieter to defeat his opponent. Pity. when the smoke from the explosion disappears. There is a golden shield in front of Rusty Rose, who appears in front of him. Even though the shield was in tatters at this moment, it still resisted Dieter's move. Cough cough. The shield disappeared from Rusty Rose's hand, and he coughed and spat out a mouthful of blood, looking pale and not feeling well. How come you didn't beat him? What the hell is this guy's magic? Why is it useless to explode close to him? Both Evergreen and Elfman say no, that close-range explosion only injured Rusty Rose, not directly defeated. Dieter didn't think much of it. This situation is also within his expectation. After all, the attack just now was not fast, and after being beaten, Rusty Rose must be prepared, and it is a very good result to be able to injure him. His magic is the loneliness of imagination. It can materialize everything he wants, and it can be called omnipotent except for a few limitations. Dieter calmly explained Rusty Rose's magic to the two Elfmen. How could there be that kind of magic? Evergreen said. Imagination and so on are too incomprehensible. How to win this fight? Yes, this is the invincible magic, so far no one has been able to defeat it. Rusty Rose didn't care about Dieter speaking out about his magic either. The powerful strength gave him the confidence to ignore all existence. Even if he knew the source of magic, he would have no solution. Come out. Tower of the Empire. A towering tower rose straight into the sky, instantly growing from the feet of Elfman and Evergreen, and instantly controlled the two in the tower. Ah! Yeah, ah! The two cried out in pain. Rusty Rose recited, "Release all grief and let the foolish goblins return to dust." Dieter narrowed his eyes. Elfman struggles on the tower. What is this? Can't move, Alba. Hold on. Evergreen next to him paled and said weakly, "I'm sorry. If your partner is not me. You may have become an S-rank mage, and maybe you won't lose to this kind of guy." Listen to Evergreen. Elfman put on a smile and replied, "Idiot. I only got this far because of you. Thank you, Elba." The corners of Dieter's mouth twitched below. These two people are really welcome, and he dares to flirt even though he is still there. Disappear. Go to the end of the darkness. Rusty Rose pushed the glasses on his face to detonate the Tower of the Empire. Gah! At this moment, Dieter appeared in front of Rusty Rose in an instant. His body was steaming white, and his body turned red. He's in second gear. Dieter grabbed with one hand and clasped Rusty Rose's head in a straight line. Why so fast? Rusty Rose struggled constantly, holding the unique hand tightly in both hands. Dieter lifted his body into the air, unable to exert any force. It just feels like my head is locked by a big hand. The power in that big hand is stronger than the guardian beast Belukush's. You like to recite poetry, right? Dieter ignores Rusty Rose's struggles. In terms of strength, Dieter can easily beat 7 kin of purgatory in a few streets. In terms of speed, so far, he has never encountered an opponent who can keep up, and he can't even give Rusty Rose a chance to use his imagination when he enters the second gear. Keep chanting. Dieter laughed. Rusty Rose struggled and roared. I am the king of the underworld, and these hands are the dark sword that can cut everything. His hands turned into steel claws again, waving toward his unique body. Yo! The steel claws hit Dieter's body, but it was completely resisted by the dark unknown substance, and the steel claws felt pain faintly. How can it be? Rusty Rose was horrified as to why the power displayed before and after was completely different. Why is the power and defense so powerful at this moment? You stop here. Let's see how you defend this time. 6 style profound truths largest round 6 king spear. Dieter pinched Rusty Rose's head and said that the 6 forms profound truth also comes with the characteristics of the upper class Sakura, use moves. Breath of death. Rusty Rose can clearly feel the terrifying power contained in that palm. Feel death from that power. Dying. Boom. Rusty Rose's head exploded instantly. He didn't even have a chance to beg for mercy, using the power of thunder to kill people. Blood sprayed on his body. Dieter kicks Rusty Rose's headless corpse out of the way. The Tower of the Empire also disappeared because of Rusty Rose's death, and the two people who were flirting just now survived. Look at each other. Dieter said, keep flirting. Evergreen pretty blushed, ashamed intolerable. Elfman muttered, man, never repeat what was said. Roll your eyes. Both Dieter and Evergreen rolled their eyes. Okay. You rest and go back to the camp, I'll deal with the other people first. Dieter waved his hand and didn't stop. Turning around and walking in the other direction, he looked into the distance and said to himself, 7 kin of purgatory, there are 3 people left. Belukush's, crush him. No matter who the opponent is, Rusty Rose immediately ordered the guardian beast to rush over to attack. At the same time he followed closely behind. I am the king of the underworld, and these hands are the dark swords that can cut everything. Rusty Rose recites a poem. In conjunction with the fist of the guardian beast Belukushes, it swung towards the unique. He said in his mouth, "Fall down, fall to the other side of darkness." The arm turned into a huge steel claws, and the pain went straight towards Dieter's chest. Roar. The guardian beast also raised its arms high, and fell from the sky. The heavy force, carrying the strong wind, aimed at Dieter's head, and was about to defeat him with one blow. Yo. Yo. Dieter raised his right fist to Rusty Rose's giant steel claw. Bang. The left arm rests overhead. Dieter's feet sank sharply when the huge arm hammer landed on the resisting forearm on Dieter's head. The stone brick hanging is broken and hanging. The feet were inserted straight into the ground, and the surrounding cracks were like lush branches, extending in a criss-cross manner. The strength is good. Dieter replied with a smile, his forearm lifted hard, and the body of the guardian beast was tossed out with a clanging sound. The guardian beast was once again driven back by inertia. After overturning the guardian beast, Dieter lifted his foot and kicked the body of Lastros, also kicking him out. Immediately afterwards, the branches and leaves on the ground continued to bloom like lush branches. More cracks continued to spread around. Blast. Dieter's body followed Rusty Rose, who was pulled out. When he is about to come, Rusty Rose is in front of him, his palms are slapped on him, and the power is gathered in both palms. 6 types of profound truth and 6 king's spears. Boom, explosion. Terrifying explosion exploded on Rusty Rose in an instant. The rumbling roar sounded like thunder. Behind him, Evergreen and Elfman stared wide-eyed, as if waiting for Dieter to defeat his opponent. Pity. When the smoke from the explosion disappears, there is a golden shield in front of Rusty Rose, who appears in front of him. Even though the shield was in tatters at this moment, it still resisted Dieter's move. Cough cough. The shield disappeared from Rusty Rose's hand, and he coughed and spat out a mouthful of blood, looking pale and not feeling well. How come you didn't beat him? What the hell is this guy's magic? Why is it useless to explode close to him? Both Evergreen and Elfman say no, that close-range explosion only injured Rusty Rose, not directly defeated. Dieter didn't think much of it. This situation is also within his expectation. After all, the attack just now was not fast, and after being beaten, Rusty Rose must be prepared, and it is a very good result to be able to injure him. His magic is the loneliness of imagination. It can materialize everything he wants, and it can be called omnipotent except for a few limitations. Dieter calmly explained Rusty Rose's magic to the 2 Elfmen. How could there be that kind of magic? Evergreen said. Imagination and so on are too incomprehensible. How to win this fight? Yes, this is the invincible magic, so far no one has been able to defeat it. Rusty Rose didn't care about Dieter speaking out about his magic either. The powerful strength gave him the confidence to ignore all existence. Even if he knew the source of magic, he would have no solution. Come out. Tower of the Empire. A towering tower rose straight into the sky, instantly growing from the feet of Elfman and Evergreen, and instantly controlled the 2 in the tower. Ah. Yeah, ah, the 2 cried out in pain. Rusty Rose recited, "Release all grief and let the foolish goblins return to dust." Dieter narrowed his eyes. Elfman struggles on the tower. What is this? Can't move, Alba. Hold on. Evergreen next to him paled and said weakly, "I'm sorry. If your partner is not me. You may have become an S-rank mage, and maybe you won't lose to this kind of guy." Listen to Evergreen. Elfman put on a smile and replied, "Idiot. I only got this far because of you. Thank you, Elba." The corners of Dieter's mouth twitched below. These 2 people are really welcome, and he dares to flirt even though he is still there. Disappear. Go to the end of the darkness. Rusty Rose pushed the glasses on his face to detonate the Tower of the Empire. Gah. At this moment, Dieter appeared in front of Rusty Rose in an instant. His body was steaming white, and his body turned red. He's in second gear. Dieter grabbed with one hand and clasped Rusty Rose's head in a straight line. Why so fast? Rusty Rose struggled constantly, holding the unique hand tightly in both hands. Dieter lifted his body into the air, unable to exert any force. It just feels like my head is locked by a big hand. The power in that big hand is stronger than the guardian beast Belukushes. You like to recite poetry, right? Dieter ignores Rusty Rose's struggles. In terms of strength, Dieter can easily beat 7 kin of purgatory in a few streets. In terms of speed, so far, he has never encountered an opponent who can keep up, and he can't even give Rusty Rose a chance to use his imagination when he enters the second gear. Keep chanting. Dieter laughed. Rusty Rose struggled and roared. I am the king of the underworld, and these hands are the dark sword that can cut everything. His hands turned into steel claws again, waving toward his unique body. Yo! The steel claws hit Dieter's body, but it was completely resisted by the dark unknown substance, and the steel claws felt pain faintly. How can it be? Rusty Rose was horrified as to why the power displayed before and after was completely different. Why is the power and defense so powerful at this moment? You stop here. Let's see how you defend this time. 6 style profound truths largest round 6 king spear. Dieter pinched Rusty Rose's head and said that the 6 forms profound truth also comes with the characteristics of the upper-class Sakura, use moves. Breath of death. Rusty Rose can clearly feel the terrifying power contained in that palm. Feel death from that power. Dying. Boom. Rusty Rose's head exploded instantly. He didn't even have a chance to beg for mercy, using the power of thunder to kill people. Blood sprayed on his body. Dieter kicks Rusty Rose's headless corpse out of the way. The Tower of the Empire also disappeared because of Rusty Rose's death, and the 2 people who were flirting just now survived. Look at each other. Dieter said, keep flirting. Evergreen pretty blushed, ashamed intolerable. Elfman muttered, man, never repeat what was said. Roll your eyes. Both Dieter and Evergreen rolled their eyes. Okay, you rest and go back to the camp, I'll deal with the other people first. Dieter waved his hand and didn't stop. Turning around and walking in the other direction, he looked into the distance and said to himself, 7 kin of purgatory, there are 3 people left.